She only went into seclusion after all the people in your sect recovered. Her cultivation has fallen behind a lot. If you have time, you should thank her properly. After all, a girl's mentality is very good. After that, Xinyuan Jitsong turned and left. Yi Qinghan looked at Xinyuan Jitsong's departing figure and involuntarily clenched his fists. He grew more and more wary of this Xinyuan Jitsong. Not only did this person have a terrifying cultivation base, his schemes were even more terrifying. For his own benefit, he wanted to push his own sister out and use Xinyuan Qingyun to control him. Emperor Yi pursed his lips and whispered, "This prince isn't a good person. Husband, you have to be careful." Yi Qinghan nodded and held Emperor Ye's hand. "Husband, you understand? The person who wants to play with me hasn't been born yet. He wants to please both sides and get rid of the donkey after it has outlived its usefulness. I don't know if he'll kill me or Xinyuan Tai in the end. Or maybe he'll take advantage of our enmity and watch the tigers fight. When the birds are gone, the bow is put away. When the rabbit is dead, the hound is cooked." How could Yi Qinghan not know that? It was better to die than to believe in Xinyuan Jitsong. "Son, go inform everyone in the sect that we'll leave tomorrow and return to Kuang Manor. Also, inform Princess Qingyun to escort us. She's a princess after all, so we won't be troubled." Yi Qinghan glanced at the square from the corner of his eye and saw a middle-aged cultivator with a restrained aura. He looked to be in his 50s, and his unique aura revealed his identity. He was a golden immortal. Yi Qinghan did not recognize him, so he sent Renhuang Yi away in advance. Emperor Yi didn't pay attention to that big shot. After hearing Yi Qinghan's words, he left the square outside the hall. What? Yi Qinghan took the initiative to go to the middle-aged man's side. His eyes told him that this big shot was looking for him. Marquis Lingyang. When she heard that Yi Qinghan had come out of seclusion, she came looking for him. Yi Qinghan greets the big shot. "How should I address you, senior?" Yi Qinghan bowed and said. Marquis Lingyang said indifferently, "I'm Lingyang, the master of this city." Yi Qinghan immediately cupped his fists and said, "So it's Marquis Lingyang. This junior didn't recognize you. I hope Marquis Lingyang can forgive me." Marquis Lingyang was expressionless. She said indifferently, "There's no need to be so polite. Come with me to meet a big shot. Leave the matters of the Kuang sect to Her Highness." Yi Qinghan was stunned. He immediately asked, "Which big shot wants to meet me?" "You'll know when you meet him. It's not convenient to tell you now. I've already informed Her Highness Qingyun. She agreed to personally send the Kuang sect's army to the fief of the Kuang sect." Marquis Lingyang was still expressionless. She waved her hand and tore the sky apart. Yi Qinghan actually couldn't resist at all. Time and space changed. Even the river of stars flowed backward. The northern divine island was billions of miles wide. It was equivalent to a fief of a main city. This place belonged to the Qingzun Immortal Empire. It was only 300 miles away from the Qingzun Immortal Empire. Further east was the sea region of the Dragon Emperor Immortal Empire. Flowers bloomed on the northern divine island in spring. The waves soared into the sky. This place was practically deserted. It wasn't that the environment wasn't good. It was just that this place hadn't been conferred. There was only a large ancient forest. A middle-aged man stood at the edge of the island. He looked to be in his 40s or 50s. He had a heroic aura that was one with the heavens, earth, and sea. The light between his brows was even more intimidating than the sun, moon, and stars. His dragon robe was awe-inspiring. Immortal Emperor Qingzun. He was of the primordial immortal bloodline. His bloodline was pure and noble. His cultivation was heaven-defying. He was at the forefront of the entire immortal world. Immortal Emperor Qingzun didn't choose to meet Yi Qinghan in the capital of the Qingzun Immortal Empire. Instead, he chose to meet him in this unconferred fief. 3 months later, Big Boss Ling Yang brought Yi Qinghan to this island. When she saw Immortal Emperor Qingzun's back, she couldn't help but be shocked by his aura. Even if it was just his back, he could perfectly kill a golden immortal. This was the only unparalleled immortal emperor that had appeared so far. He was also the first immortal emperor that Yi Qinghan had seen. Your Excellency, Yi Qinghan has been brought here. Immortal Lingyang didn't announce the immortal emperor's identity. Instead, she addressed him as Your Excellency. However, Yi Qinghan wasn't stupid. If Immortal Lingyang addressed him as Your Excellency, and he was wearing a dragon robe, who else could he be but an immortal emperor? Yi Qinghan greets Your Excellency. Yi Qinghan didn't point it out. More importantly, he didn't want to kneel. Thus, he greeted this unparalleled immortal emperor as if he were meeting a big shot. Immortal Emperor Qingzun nodded calmly. He turned to Immortal Lingyang and said, Ling, wait for me on the mainland. I have something to discuss with this young friend. Immortal Lingyang respectfully retreated from the northern divine island. Only Yi Qinghan and Immortal Emperor Qingzun were left behind. Immortal Emperor Qingzun slowly turned around. His aura was restrained, and his square face was incomparably dignified. He was much more imposing than Lingyang. He didn't show any anger, but his eyes shone like stars. Yi Qinghan couldn't help but take a step back. The fear and apprehension in his heart made his Yen clan bloodline completely quiet. Moreover, he was wearing a burial cloth. Otherwise, his bloodline identity would definitely be exposed. However, Immortal Emperor Qingzun still sensed a bit of the Yen clan bloodline in Yi Qinghan. He said calmly, I didn't expect you to be from the Yen clan. However, don't worry, I won't attack a little mystic immortal. Moreover, the hatred between the Yen clan and the 10 great clans should have dissipated long ago. There's no need to continue pestering them. Yi Qinghan's heart trembled. He didn't expect Immortal Emperor Qingzun to be so terrifying. He could even sense his bloodline through the burial cloth. Chapter 25:10. Yi Qinghan didn't relax after hearing Immortal Emperor Qingzun's words. The hatred was too deep. Even if he wanted to give up on revenge, the other party might not be willing to. Relax, I called you here today because I have a few small questions for you. Immortal Emperor Qingzun said faintly. Yi Qinghan immediately bowed and said, Sir, please ask. This junior will tell you everything I know. Immortal Emperor Qingzun smiled and sat on a rock while facing the sea breeze. He looked at the sea and asked, What did you see in the depths of the Crying Ghost Ridge? What was it like? Was it still dangerous? Yi Qinghan exhaled a mouthful of turbid air, seemingly rejoicing. Then he respectfully said, We almost lost our lives several times. Fortunately, this kid's spirit pet accidentally obtained a bracelet containing the soul of a powerful gold immortal, the Purple Glass Phoenix. It was her who helped us escape several great calamities. Otherwise, we would have died long ago. There are dangers everywhere in the depths. There are spatial storms, magnetic fields, and the most frightening thing is that there are some ancient killing restrictions that have yet to be triggered. For this kid to be able to come out alive, it must be the blessings of some supreme immortal emperor. Immortal Emperor Qingzun smiled faintly and said, In the depths of the Crying Ghost Ridge, the immortal emperors can't protect you because they can't even protect themselves. The ancient immortal emperors set up the killing seals to deal with experts. As long as an immortal emperor appears, the seals will automatically activate. That's why the 5 immortal emperors didn't dare to enter. Otherwise, they would be severely injured even if they didn't die. Yi Qinghan remained silent. The less he said, the less mistakes he would make. How could an immortal emperor not know the situation in the depths of the Crying Ghost Ridge? Let me ask you, are there any survivors in the depths of the Crying Ghost Ridge? Immortal Emperor Qingzun's eyes flashed as he stared at Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan's body that was hidden under the burial cloth had goosebumps. The shock on his face turned into astonishment. He stared straight at Immortal Emperor Qingzun and said with a creepy expression, Since even an immortal emperor can't survive, how can there be survivors? Immortal Emperor Qingzun looked at Yi Qinghan's unwavering eyes and didn't doubt that this brat could trick his eyes. Since there's no one, then forget it. Let me ask you, are there any immortal emperor corpses inside? Immortal Emperor Qingzun asked again. Yi Qinghan shook his head. He really did not see anything like that. Strange, there are over 10 supreme ancient immortal emperors. Why hasn't a single corpse appeared yet? Immortal Emperor Qing Zun silently mused. He couldn't fathom what was going on. The 5 immortal emperors were all searching for the corpse of the supreme ancient immortal emperor, searching for the supreme immortal arts he cultivated back then. Sadly, countless years have passed, and the corpse of the supreme ancient immortal emperor was nowhere to be found. Only a few supreme immortal arts were left behind. Even the 5 immortal emperors treated these supreme immortal arts as supreme treasures and relied on these supreme immortal arts to reach the immortal emperor realm. Their combat prowess was clearly inferior to the supreme ancient immortal emperor back then. Yi Qinghan lowered his head in silence. At this moment, he still didn't know why immortal Emperor Qing Zun was looking for him. Hence, he didn't dare to speak recklessly. After a long time, immortal Emperor Qing Zun asked, "If I ask you to enter the Crying Ghost Ridge again in the future, will you still have the courage to enter?" Yi Qinghan's eyelids twitched. He really didn't have the confidence to come out alive if he went in again. However, he would definitely go in again because he wanted to meet with Law King Samsara. Yi Qinghan pretended to hesitate. If he said that he was willing now, immortal Emperor Qing Zun would probably think that he was crazy or retarded. Immortal Emperor Qing Zun continued, "Don't worry, I won't mistreat you. This northern divine island and the 30 million square kilometers inland will belong to your insane sect and my Qing Zun immortal empire. You won't have to pay taxes for 3 million years and will be under the protection of my Qing Zun immortal empire." Yi Qinghan's body trembled. Looking at the northern divine island and the inland, he could attack or retreat. This was definitely the best place for the insane sect. "I still have a lot of things to do." Yi Qinghan lowered his head and said softly. Immortal Emperor Qing Zun smiled and said confidently, "Then I'll help you fulfill your greatest wish. When you go back this time, I'll ask Ling Yang to bring you to Xikong City. Xinyuan Tai won't stop you from taking revenge. Also, Ling Yang will move Xikong Tanlang's world boundary stone here. This world belongs to you." "Thank you, my lord. If you need it, I'll enter the Crying Ghost Ridge again even if I have to die," Yi Qinghan said resolutely. Immortal Emperor Qing Zun said calmly, "Don't worry, I won't let you enter the Crying Ghost Ridge anytime soon. Go and see Ling Yang. She'll do as you say." With that, immortal Emperor Qing Zun disappeared from the northern divine island. Yi Qinghan stared at the spot where immortal Emperor Qing Zun disappeared for a long time, unable to regain his senses. He wants me to enter the Crying Ghost Ridge again? Could it be that he wants me to look for the emperor-level corpse and the immortal ring of an immortal emperor? If I accept these benefits, it won't be as simple as entering the Crying Ghost Ridge. I'll have to enter both the Demon Sealing Mountain and the Demon Sealing Cave. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath. There was no such thing as a free lunch in this world. The benefits that the immortal emperor gave him were not for free. The Land of Death was one of the 3 most dangerous places. Even the immortal emperor was unwilling to enter, but Yi Qinghan was looking forward to it. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan flew through the air, stepping on the huge waves as he rushed to the Qilin forest on the other side. Ling Yang had clearly received the immortal emperor's orders. She smiled and said, "Congratulations, Sect Master Yi. Congratulations on obtaining this feng shui treasured land. You don't know how many marquises coveted this land. Now that the dust has settled, the marquises should stop." Yi Qinghan took a deep breath. His face was filled with joy as he bowed and said, "Thank you, Ling Yang. Also, please bring me to Xikong City. I want to kill Xikong Tanlang. I don't want to waste any more time." "As you wish." Marquis Ling Yang grabbed Yi Qinghan and tore through the void to teleport away. Even a golden immortal would take a long time to traverse half of the Qing Zun Immortal Empire's territory. However, Marquis Ling Yang's specialty was the space profound, the primordial space profound. Moreover, she had already comprehended it to the great city realm. She could travel through space several times faster than ordinary golden immortals. At this moment, Xikong City. Xinyuan Tai was sitting in the main hall of the City Lord Manor. Xikong Tanlang was prostrating on the ground, extremely respectful. "Don't worry. Yi Qinghan won't dare to kill you. I've already made an agreement with Prince Jitsong. If he dares to make a move, he won't live to see the next day. Xin Yuantai said confidently. Thank you, Marcus. I will definitely follow your lead and double the offerings. Sikong Tan Lang said excitedly. Xin Yuantai snorted and said coldly, just don't cause trouble for me. If you can't even control an ant in your own world, what can I expect from you? If it didn't involve my face, I would really want to kill you with my own hands. Sikong Tan Lang trembled and kowtowed continuously. It was rare to see a mystic immortal realm expert like him. Don't worry, my lord. I can already control my own world. Those ants inside can forget about causing trouble. Even if Yi Qinghan dares to come, I have 10,000 ways to make him leave. Unless he gives up his ancestral land and everyone inside. Sikong Tan Lang replied respectfully. Xin Yuantai nodded and asked coldly, I can't be bothered with your matters. However, how are you doing with the things I asked you to do? That old thing is stubborn. He's guarding the ruins without moving. If it's really impossible, just kill him. Sikong Tan Lang suggested respectfully. Xin Yuantai stared coldly at Sikong Tan Lang and scolded angrily, if I could kill him, would I need you? He's from the primordial race and is inextricably linked to the royal family. If we forcefully kill him, once the royal family investigates, both of us will be at a disadvantage. In the end, all our efforts will be for naught. What a piece of trash. Do I need to remind you of this? Chapter 25:11. Ling Yang brought Yi Qinghan through the void and intercepted the Quang Mansion's army near Yang City of the Qingzun Immortal Empire. Yi Qinghan immediately told Ling Yang to stop. Yi Qinghan's figure flashed and appeared at the front of the army. As expected, Xin Yuan Qingyun was the leader. Yi Qinghan cupped his fists and said, Your Highness, I'll have to trouble you to bring the Crazy Sect's army into Crazy Manor's territory and gather all the resources there. Then, bring them to the Chulin district. That place has already been conferred to me. Crazy Manor will take root there. Xin Yuan Qingyun was shocked. There were many marquises fighting over that place. How could it have been conferred to Yi Qinghan? After all, it was at the border and rich in resources that had yet to be exploited. It should have been conferred to someone from the imperial family. Who conferred it to you? How come I didn't know? Xin Yuan Qingyun asked in shock. Just then, Ling Yang slowly walked over and said calmly, My lord personally bestowed it upon us. Chulin's 30 million square kilometers and the northern Divine Island have all been conferred to Sect Head Yi. Your Highness, please do as Sect Head Yi says. Qingyun greets Marquis Ling Yang. Qingyun will send the Crazy Manor's army to Chulin district. Xin Yuan Qingyun immediately knew that the immortal emperor had personally conferred the title. Otherwise, Ling Yang wouldn't have addressed him as Lord Yi. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and looked at the Crazy Sect's older generation. He clenched his fists and said, Older generation, follow me. We will flatten Sikong City. I want Sikong Tanlang to kneel before Mu Zhuang and the others and repent. The Crazy Sect was excited. They had wanted to take revenge for a long time. Unfortunately, they couldn't even protect themselves before. Now, it seemed that they had the confidence to do so. Otherwise, Yi Qinghan wouldn't have said that. The older generation all stepped forward. Only Yen Ao stayed behind to guard the army. Ling Yang smiled bitterly and said, Why did you bring so many people? You alone are enough to kill Sikong Cheng. Yi Qinghan said in a low voice, This grudge doesn't belong to me alone. The brothers and sisters who died in battle are not my brothers and sisters. Ling Yang frowned. It wasn't that he didn't want to help, but he couldn't take so many people away unless he sent them into his own world. However, the Golden Immortals world wasn't like the immortal world of the immortals, nor was it the immortal world of the ancients. Yi Qinghan and the older generation of the Quang sect could easily destroy his world. I can't take that many people with me. I can only take 3 to 5 at most. Ling Yang directly rejected Yi Qinghan's offer. Yi Qinghan knew that Ling Yang could be taken away, so he looked up at her and said resolutely, If the Marquis is willing to help, I will definitely repay you generously in the future. Ling Yang smiled bitterly. It doesn't matter who killed him. Do you have to bring them along? But the older generation of the Quang sect was different. They had participated in the war back then and almost died. Mu Zhuang and the others who died were their brothers and sisters who fought side by side. They would not be satisfied if they could not kill Xikong Tanlang with their own hands. Fan Yin's eyes flashed fiercely and she growled, "Take me with you." Yi Qinghan looked at Fan Yin coldly. He knew that she hated Xikong Tanlang the most, so he did not refuse. Perhaps because of Fan Yin's performance this time, the Kuang sect would really accept her. "All right, I can bring you to my world, but you can't do anything rash. After all, it's only my personal world. The highest cultivation level there is only the high level of the mystic immortal realm, and the grade of their immortal weapons is not high either. Their combat power will definitely be inferior to yours." Ling Yang chose to compromise because of Yi Qinghan's promise. Yi Qinghan gritted his teeth and nodded repeatedly. He said to Yan Ao, "Yan Ao, you are in charge of the migration of the army. Leave Xikong Tanlang to us." Yan Ao waved his hand and took out his life source spear. He threw it to Yi Qinghan's side and said, "Boss, I can't go personally. Using my life source spear to reap the last of his life is enough for me." Yi Qinghan waved his hand and grasped the long spear in his hand, firmly saying, "As you wish." Whoosh. Ling Yang no longer hesitated and brought Yi Qinghan and the others into her world. However, she set up a barrier for them and did not allow them to leave. The world of a golden immortal was far more terrifying than Eternal World. However, it was no longer attractive to Yi Qinghan. So, in order to not provoke Ling Yang, they did not leave the barrier. Ling Yang rushed towards Xikong City alone, her speed as fast as the aurora. At that moment, Xikong Tanlang was leading Xianyuan Tai to an ancient ruin. Some of the palaces had already collapsed. The walls were broken and weeds were overgrown. An ancient bronze bell had stood proudly in the mountains for countless years, still there. This was the Sword Immortal sect, one of the largest sects in the primordial era. After the primordial battlefield, the Sword Immortal sect, which used to be filled with experts, only had a few lonely old men and a few orphans left. That was why the Feiyang sect did not completely disappear into history. What Xianyuan Tai wanted was the Sword Immortal sect's legacy sword technique, sect origin swords. However, the Sword Immortal sect's current sect master was stubborn and refused to hand over the sect origin swords. In the decaying Sword Immortal sect, even the sect master was past his prime. He was so old that he could not even pull out his sword. Back in the day, he was a king of a generation. Unfortunately, he was old and could not even protect his own sect. Xianyuan Tai brought Xikong Tanlang to stand in front of the dilapidated palace. He looked at the old man sitting on the chair and said calmly, "Sword Immortal Chiu, you're already so old that you can't move. You've worked so hard for the Sword Immortal sect, expending so much blood, sweat, and tears, causing your life force to be severely depleted. Hand it over to this market. I will take care of the Sword Immortal sect and ensure that its legacy will not be lost." The old man's face was like withered tree bark. His eyes were sunken and incomparably turbid. The flying immortal sword, the legacy of the Sword Immortal sect, was stabbed into the ground just like that. It had not been pulled out for who knows how many years. You have a high status and authority. Why must you insist on the sect origin swords and the flying immortal sword? These are the legacies of the Sword Immortal sect. Without them, the Sword Immortal sect will disappear. The Sword Immortal sect master, Sword Immortal Chiu, said helplessly, "Because you have ruined the reputation of the Sword Immortal sect. The 10 great ancient sword techniques are now obscure and obscure. There is not even a single person who can pull out the sword. Isn't that a joke?" Xianyuan Tai said disdainfully. What at this moment, 10 or so orphans rushed over. They all pulled out their swords and stood guard beside Sword Immortal Chiu. They glared angrily at Xianyuan Tai. Even the old servant of the Sword Immortal sect rushed over with a broom. Haha, Xianyuan Tai was very disdainful. With just these old and weak people, not to mention him, even Xikong Tanlang could kill them. Sword Immortal Chiu, this marquis patience is limited. If you still don't agree today, then this marquis will not be able to stop Xikong Tanlang from doing something stupid. If the Sword Immortal sect's legacy is lost, then don't blame this marquis for being merciless. Xin Yuantai said coldly. Sword Immortal Qiu's withered arm slowly rested on the flying immortal sword. There was not even a trace of blood left on his arm. It was dark and lusterless. Whether or not he could even pull out the sword was a problem. AI. Sword Immortal Qiu sighed. His arm slowly drooped down. He knew that he could no longer pull out the sword, let alone use the sect origin swords. Chapter 25:12. Sigh. Qiu Sword Immortal sighed, expressing his helplessness. Just like the Sword Immortal sect, he was nearing the end of his lifespan. Marquis, why force me to make a move? Qiu Sword Immortal asked dejectedly. Xin Yuantai said coldly, so what if I make a move? Unleash the glory of myriad returning swords? That will only hasten the destruction of the Sword Immortal sect. Xikong Tanlang said arrogantly, my Marquis is giving you face by discussing this with you. You're already so old that you can't even walk anymore, so why force yourself? A fallen tiger would be bullied by a dog. A hero at the end of his road was full of sorrow. Even a mere Xikong Tanlang dared to mock him. Let me think about it for 3 days. How about that? Qiu Sword Immortal asked in a low voice. Xin Yuantai said coldly, so what if you delay it for 3 days? Do you think someone will come and change your fate? Since you don't want to give up, I'll let you delay it for 3 days. Time passed slowly, but for Qiu Sword Immortal, it was as quick as flowing water. Every breath he took was a little less opportunity for the Sword Immortal sect. He was slowly gathering immortal qi, hoping to make a final struggle. In the far north, Ling Yang streaked through the air like a meteor, hurtling towards Xikong City. The laws of space were in chaos, alarming everyone. 3 days later, the Sword Immortal sect. An aura of desolation permeated the air, and the smell of death descended. Qiu Sword Immortal looked even older than before. He secretly transformed his life force into a final attack, and his withered arm gripped the flying immortal sword. Flying immortal sword, myriad returning swords. This was his strongest sword technique back in the day, and it was even more terrifying than the ancient abyss sword. Xin Yuantai could sense Qiu Sword Immortal's death intent, and he snorted coldly. You want to cause trouble under my watch? Do you think you can do it? If you were young, I would have gone easy on you. Unfortunately, you're old now. Whoosh, boom. Xin Yuantai's figure flashed, and he appeared beside Qiu Sword Immortal. He stepped on the hilt of the flying immortal sword, and no matter how Qiu Sword Immortal struggled, he was unable to pull the sword out. Old thing, I gave you face, but you don't want it? Xin Yuantai reprimanded angrily. Do you want the Sword Immortal sect to continue being passed down? If not for the fact that Qiu Jianxian was related to the royal family, Xin Yuantai definitely would not have been so courteous. At this moment, he could no longer hold himself back. The royal family would definitely not make things difficult for a marquis who was at the peak of his power for the sake of a rotten old man. Just as Sword Immortal Qiu was about to give in, a figure dashed forward with a palm strike that could pierce through mountains and rivers. Whoosh-boom. Bang. Ling Tian's palm broke through the shackles and appeared in front of Xin Yuantai. Xin Yuantai was startled and hurriedly sent out a palm strike. Caught off guard, he was sent flying for dozens of miles, and even the mountain range was shattered. Thud, thud, thud. Xin Yuantai's expression changed abruptly, and his eyes flashed. He didn't expect the person to be Big Boss Ling Yang. Ling Yang, this is my fief. Don't you think you're going overboard by meddling in my affairs? Xin Yuantai rebuked angrily. At this moment, Xikong Tanlang was so frightened that he knelt on the ground. Luckily, the two big bosses had controlled their attacks well, or else the shockwaves would have killed him. Ling Yang smiled disdainfully, and with a wave of her hand, she summoned Yi Qinghan and the other elders of the insane sect. Ka. Yi Qinghan and the others clenched their fists tightly and stared at Xikong Tanlang. I'm going to kill you, you bastard! Fan Yin roared and was about to charge at Xikong Tanlang. However, before she could summon her string of strings, she was held back by Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan's expression was cold, and the evil smile on his lips made one shudder. No rush, I'm going to have a good chat with City Lord Xikong today. Yi Qinghan grinned coldly. Pudung. Just as Sikong Tanlang stood up, he was frightened to the point of kneeling on the ground. His entire body went limp, and he looked at Yi Qinghan in horror. Whoosh! Divine Bird Sovereign Yi had also come out. Yo, why did this grandson kneel the moment he saw me? Sovereign Yi boasted shamelessly. Sikong Tanlang was angry, but he didn't dare to say anything. He looked back at Xinyuan Tai in horror, hoping that he could say a few good words, or at least intimidate Yi Qinghan. Xinyuan Tai's expression was cold, and he said seriously, Yi Qinghan, didn't Prince Jitsong tell you? Don't tell me you won't even give Prince Jitsong face? Yi Qinghan sneered, and slowly walked towards Sikong Tanlang. He said calmly, Prince Jitsong told me, so of course I have to give him face. However, his face is useless in this matter. I must kill Sikong Tanlang, and no one can do anything about it. I hope that Marquis Tai can also stand by and watch. Stand by and watch? Where do you want me to put my face? Xinyuan Tai said coldly, his killing intent radiating. Yi Qinghan was ordered to kill this time, so he didn't need to care about Xinyuan Tai's expression. He immediately snorted, I don't care where you put your face, but don't put it between me and Sikong Tanlang, or else I'll step on your face. You've got guts. You think that just because Ling Yang is here, he can protect you? Xinyuan Tai's figure flashed, and he appeared beside Sikong Tanlang. He said disdainfully, Today, even if the heavens came, I can protect Sikong Tanlang. Ling Yang didn't even move. Seeing Xinyuan Tai's solemn vow, she couldn't help but laugh. She said calmly, Xinyuan Tai, I'm afraid that you really can't protect Sikong Tanlang today, because this time, my lord asked me to personally escort Yi Qinghan here to kill Sikong Tanlang. If you don't want to cause trouble, then leave quickly. My lord? Which lord? Xinyuan Tai was stunned, and asked with a frown. Ling Yang mocked, How many other lords can this marquis call them? Have you lost your mind from anger? What? It's him? Xinyuan Tai's pupils constricted, and his expression changed. He thought to himself, no wonder this Yi Qinghan didn't even give face to Prince Shitsong. So he has a powerful backer. But why would the immortal emperor personally order Ling Yang to accompany him to kill a piece of trash? There are two other things that you might not know. First, the Qiulin district and the northern Divine Island have already been bestowed to Sect Master Yi. There's another thing that you might not like to hear, Ling Yang said with a smile. Xinyuan Tai frowned, and asked, What is it? My lord has already decreed Sect Master Yi to be the Mad Martial a marquis, on par with you and me. Ling Yang said calmly. Xinyuan Tai's expression changed drastically, and he shouted angrily, Ling Yang, how dare you? You dare to fake my lord's decree? Do you want to die? Yi Qinghan is just a puny early-stage profound immortal. How can he be conferred the title of Marquis and the Dragon Vein? I wouldn't dare to fake my lord's decree, but I can see that you have the intention to defy my lord's decree. As for why he was conferred the title of Marquis, it's because my lord has a use for him. If you're not convinced, then go ahead and attack him. If Yi Qinghan is injured or killed, I don't think it's a big deal to have a marquis accompany him in death, Ling Yang reprimanded. At this moment, Sikong Tanlang was in complete despair. Ling Yang's words had decided his life or death. It was just a matter of whether he would die miserably or very miserably. Yi Qinghan was also stunned. He didn't know that he had been conferred the title of Marquis. It had probably only happened a few days ago. Otherwise, even if he didn't know, Xinyuan Tai would have. Chapter 25:13. Yi Qinghan did not expect to be conferred the title of Marquis and became even more vigilant. The title of Marquis was not that easy to obtain. The immortal emperor would not be so friendly to him unless it was something important. At this moment, Xinyuan Tai and Sikong Tanlang were dumbfounded. They did not expect Yi Qinghan to provoke the immortal emperor. Asterisk cluck cluck cluck, asterisk Sikong Tanlang's teeth chattered, making a horrifying sound. The corners of Yi Qinghan's mouth curled up as he rushed over and ruthlessly kicked Xinyuan Tai in the face, sending him flying more than 10 meters away. Sikong Tanlang, you can fight back. If you don't fight back today, it will be meaningless. Yi Qinghan roared hoarsely. Sikong Tan Lang did not dare to fight back. With Yi Qinghan's strength, even 100 of him at his peak would not be able to defeat Yi Qinghan. Bang. Sikong Tan Lang did not care about the shoe print on his face and knelt on the ground. He cried and begged, "Sect leader Yi, please spare me. I have wronged you." Bang. Slap 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 slap. Yi Qinghan attacked left and right, punching and kicking Sikong Tan Lang. "Fuck you. Wronged me? You killed so many of my brothers and sisters and you say you have wronged me?" Boom. Yi Qinghan cursed as he punched Sikong Tan Lang's face. Bang bang bang. Boom. Yi Qinghan treated Sikong Tan Lang like a slave, beating him until his fists penetrated his flesh, breaking his bones, breaking his ribs, and sending him flying with a kick. Boom. Bang. The insane sex people rushed towards Sikong Tan Lang in a frenzy. They attacked with elbows, fists, palms, and kicks. No one used a weapon because no one wanted to kill Sikong Tan Lang so quickly. Fan Yin wanted to bite Sikong Tan Lang to death. Sikong Tan Lang ran and wailed, "Mari, save me! Your humble servant has followed you for so many years. Are you going to watch me get killed?" Hissed at Xinyuan Tai clenched his fists, his expression fierce. Moonlight swept past Ling Yang, and he found that his smile was very strange, as if he was waiting for him to make a move. He didn't dare to act recklessly. If the immortal emperor was angered, even if he was a marquis, he would have to bear the consequences. However, Yi Qinghan sneered, "Even if the heavenly king were here today, he wouldn't be able to save you. Yi Qinghan, I'll kill you." Sikong Tan Lang flew into a rage out of humiliation, and he actually erupted with the strength that a mysterious immortal realm expert should possess. He tore through space with a single strike of his sword and directly pressed down on the weakest experts of the older generation. Boom! Yi Qinghan was already prepared. He shattered the void and the 7 feet craze appeared in his hand. He directly broke Sikong Tan Lang's immortal sword. Interesting. It's only interesting if you resist. Sikong Tan Lang, are you in despair now? It's far from what I predicted. Today, I'll tell you that your Sikong city and all the direct descendants of the Sikong clan will definitely not be able to survive today. Yi Qinghan sneered, purposely angering Sikong Tan Lang. Boom! Sikong Tan Lang erupted in despair, but unfortunately, the stronger he erupted, the easier it was for Yi Qinghan to oppress him. A single punch pierced through the bones in his hand. Bang! Boom! Yi Qinghan continuously smashed Sikong Tan Lang into the ground. In an instant, blood rained down and dyed the thorny area outside the Sword Immortal Sect's main hall red. Crack! Sikong Tan Lang's 4 limbs were forcefully broken by Yi Qinghan. Even the family jewels between his legs were shattered by Yi Qinghan's kick. Sikong Tan Lang's 4 limbs were in the air. His face was distorted, and his entire body was curled up and trembling. Tears even fell from his eyes. "You bastard! Yi Qinghan, you'll definitely regret this. I've already arranged for some people in the 9 states. As long as I die, your clansmen and ancestral land will all be razed to the ground." Sikong Tan Lang roared. Yi Qinghan's breathing became hurried. He grabbed Sikong Tan Lang's hair and lifted his leg to kick. He directly broke Sikong Tan Lang's right leg and smashed it into the rocks. Sikong Tan Lang's final threat did not have any effect. Instead, it attracted Yi Qinghan's even more terrifying revenge. "Yi Qinghan, don't go overboard." Xinyuan Tai angrily rebuked. Yi Qinghan raised his head and curled his lips. He laughed eerily. "Is this considered cruel? You still haven't seen how cruel I am. This is just the appetizer. Do you think I'll let him go just like that? Then what do you want?" Xinyuan Tai angrily questioned. Yi Qinghan was so angry that he laughed instead. His fingers trembled slightly as he replied hoarsely, "You'll understand in a moment. I'll let everyone in the world understand the consequences of offending me." Sikong Tan Lang had already given up all hope. He just wanted to die as soon as possible. Unfortunately, Yi Qinghan had sealed off his qi, blood, and meridians, not allowing him to use even the slightest bit of immortal spiritual energy. Xinyuan Tai was also extremely angry. If this matter were to spread, his reputation would be completely ruined. No one would dare to serve him anymore. However, he was powerless. Who in the world dared to go against the will of the immortal emperor? Xinyuan Tai stared at Ling Yang, his eyes filled with hostility. It was as if he was warning Ling Yang to persuade Yi Qinghan to give Xikong Tanlang a taste of pain. Ling Yang walked over to Qiu Jianxian as if nothing had happened. Instead, she started chatting with him. Fellow Taoist Qiu, you're too stubborn. Now that the Sword Immortal Sect's inheritance is about to be severed, you're not suitable to lead the Sword Immortal Sect. Instead, you're more suitable to be the Sword Immortal Sect's guardian elder. Ling Yang sighed. Qiu Jianxian also seemed to understand that he didn't know how to manage a sect. The more he struggled, the faster the Sword Immortal Sect would disappear. Qiu Jianxian's sword hand was already trembling. His turbid eyes wandered over the elders of the insane sect. In the end, his gaze landed on Li Feng, Gu Qingyu, and Lin Wutan. His eyes were filled with admiration. This old man seems to have sensed the aura of the ancient path sword technique and the ancient abyss sword. Qiu Jianxian said with a trembling voice. Ling Yang couldn't help but shake her head and smile bitterly when she saw that Qiu Jianxian still wanted to find an inheritance for the Sword Immortal Sect. She pointed at Lin Wutian and said, "That little guy is the Bailing King's legacy disciple. Don't think too much about it. As for the other two, they're the guardian elders of the insane sect. If you're willing to accept the inheritance, I can guarantee their quality." Li Feng and Gu Qingyu were both sword experts. If they could inherit the 10 ancient sword techniques, it would be like adding wings to a tiger. Boo! Whoosh! Yi Qinghan dragged Xikong Tanlang over. He looked at Qiu Jianxian and bowed slightly. "Senior, if you're willing to pass the sect returning sword technique to my brother, I definitely won't let the Sword Immortal Sect's inheritance be severed. As for the orphans and elders of your sect, I'll protect them as well. I definitely won't let them be threatened or killed by despicable people." Qiu Jianxian couldn't even raise his head. He tilted his head and looked at Yi Qinghan. He said hoarsely, "Insane Martial Marquis? What a young This old man greets you. Since Marquis has made such a promise, this old man can die in peace. This old man will pass the flying celestial sword and the 10,000 swords to the two of you. I hope that the two of you can bring the 10,000 swords to greater heights. The first to comprehend the 10,000 swords to the Sword Immortal Sect will be the 6th Sword Immortal of the Sword Immortal Sect." Qiu Jianxian took out an ancient box with great difficulty and placed it on the flying celestial sword. He couldn't pull the sword out anymore. Yi Qinghan signaled with his eyes. Gu Qingyu and Li Feng stepped forward and knelt down on one knee. "Thank you, Senior. I won't let you down." Qiu Jianxian smiled. The last bit of life force in his body had been burned away. There was no longer any desire or regret in his eyes. Chapter 25:14. Qiu Jianxian had sacrificed his entire life for the Sword Immortal Sect. It wasn't that he wasn't loyal to the Sword Immortal Sect, but that he was too stubborn and didn't know how to control an ancient sect. Xinyuan Tai's face turned green. He had been fighting the sect invocation swords and soaring immortal sword for a long time. Who would have thought that he would end up helping the sect invocation swords instead? Yi Qinghan looked at Xinyuan Tai coldly and ignored him. He dragged Xikong Tanlang and rushed towards Xikong City. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. More than 10 elders of the sect invocation swords flew and chased after Yi Qinghan. Outside Xikong City, in front of the Tanlang boundary stele, a large army was standing guard, seemingly afraid of Yi Qinghan's revenge. As long as Yi Qinghan came, a large number of experts would enter Eternal World and take revenge on Yi Qinghan. Two figures arrived at Xikong City first. They were Ling Yang and Xinyuan Tai. Ling Yang's eyes flashed and she waved her hand to seal all directions. News from the immortal world couldn't be transmitted to Eternal World, and Xikong Tanlong's backup plan couldn't be executed. Xinyuan Tai wanted to stop her, but he wouldn't dare to go against the immortal emperor's will so blatantly. Not long after, Yi Qinghan dragged Xikong Tanlang to the boundary stele outside Xikong City. He blocked Xikong Tanlang's path and killed the army surrounding the boundary stele. Not a single one was spared. Jing Tian, enter the Sikong estate and capture all their direct descendants, Yi Qinghan said in a deep voice. Roger. Jiang Jingtian, Li Feng, Gu Qingyu, and the others rushed into Sikong City. Anyone who dared to stop them was killed without mercy. The Sikong estate was in chaos. The strongest among them was only at the peak of the immortal heaven immortal realm. How could they withstand the attacks of the sect invocation swords? They slaughtered their way through, turning the Sikong estate into a river of blood. In less than an incense stick's worth of time, the Sikong estate was under their control. Everyone, including the women and children, was driven out of the city. Sikong Tanlang watched his people being driven out like wild beasts by the sect's people. He couldn't help but be furious. Does this feel good? Yi Qinghan asked with a wicked smile. Sikong Tanlang cursed, You bastard! Yi Qinghan slapped him in the face and asked disdainfully, If I'm an animal, what's the big deal about you destroying one civilization after another for your own selfish desires? So many of my crazy sect's people have died in order to survive. So what? Veins popped out from Sikong Tanlong's forehead. In the undying immortal plane, he was infamous for being a piece of trash. Thus, he had wanted to become a godfather figure in his own eternal world. Unfortunately, a little rookie from a subsidiary world of his own world had betrayed him. Don't be anxious. If you want to save your own people, you still have to rely on yourself. Now, tell me, how many people have you arranged for in the 9 states? Yi Qinghan asked coldly. Sikong Tanlang took a deep breath. He understood Yi Qinghan and sneered. If you want to save the 9 continents, then release me and my clansmen. Otherwise, the 9 continents will be razed to the ground. Put, put, put. Yi Qinghan slapped Sikong Tanlang a few more times and said disdainfully, Can't you see the situation clearly? If I want to save the 9 continents, no one can stop me. If you are unwilling to cooperate, then I will use my own method. After saying that, Yi Qinghan turned to big shot Ling Yang and said, Marquis Ling Yang, help me keep an eye on the people from Sikong residence. I will enter Eternal World to clean up the trash. Ling Yang nodded calmly. In front of her, these people couldn't even commit suicide if they wanted to. Everyone from the crazy sect, follow me. Oh. Yi Qinghan led all the experts from the crazy sect through the boundary steel and into Eternal World. At present, the world's civilization had only reached the middle stages of development. However, Sikong Tanlang had seriously interfered with it. Some of the chess pieces that Yi Qinghan had set up back then had escaped. Sikong Tanlang had cleared out all of Yi Qinghan's forces from Eternal World, leaving only the subordinate planes of the 9 continents. It was not that he did not want to clear out the 9 continents. Rather, he did not dare. After entering Eternal World, Yi Qinghan and the others spread out their divine senses. It was easy for them to sense the soul fluctuations of those who were not from Eternal World. Sikong Tanlong's cultivation base had yet to reach the required level. Thus, they were unable to fully integrate with Eternal World. My son and I will first go to the 9 continents to clean up the trash. The rest of you will be responsible for cleaning up the trash in Eternal World. Yi Qinghan growled and his figure flashed away. At present, the strength of his soul had surpassed even Sikong Tanlong's. The laws of Eternal World could no longer suppress him. They could only be used by him. Sush. As soon as they entered the 9 continents, Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi actually controlled the heavenly Tao. They patrolled the surroundings and killed all outsiders without mercy. In an instant, blood flowed like rivers. Wails of agony could be heard everywhere in the 9 continents. Sikong Tanlang was indeed ruthless. In order to prevent Yi Qinghan from taking revenge, he had hidden tens of thousands of people in the 9 continents. Most of them were Earth Immortal experts. Unfortunately, the people he had hidden were all killed before they could even react. Yi Qinghan, embark. People of the 9 continents need not be afraid. The outsiders have been cleaned up. From now on, there is no need to worry. Yi Qinghan spoke in a low voice with the help of the heavenly Tao, who in the 9 continents did not know of Yi Qinghan's name. The statues of the gods were all of Yi Qinghan and the dozen or so elders of the insane sect. The great gods are back. The 9 continents fell into a frenzy. They spread the news everywhere. Countless creatures knelt down and prayed to the heavens. Wisps of faith spread in all directions. Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi looked at the people, smiled at each other, and quietly retreated. In the eternal world, the experts of the insane sect went on a killing spree. A large number of experts were killed. Mo Jingtian, the disciple that Yi Qinghan had temporarily accepted, had appeared. He had actually become a little spirit immortal on his own. When he saw the experts of the insane sect coming, he could not help but be excited and quickly rushed out. "Master, I am Mo Jingtian. Where are you?" Mo Jingtian shouted and looked around for Yi Qinghan. Other than him, the few nominal disciples that Yi Qinghan had trained back then had either fled or died. They had long been separated. Yi Qinghan returned to the eternal world and turned into the consciousness of the world. He wandered around the universe. A big hand of nothingness grabbed Mo Jingtian from the void. Bang! Boom! Immediately after that, the spies and assassins that Sikong Tanlang had set up were all killed. Their corpses exploded and there were countless casualties. Unfortunately, Yi Qinghan did not have the slightest bit of mercy. He only wanted to kill crazily. His heart softened at this moment was his heartlessness towards the 9 continents. In less than a day, the enemies in the eternal world were completely wiped out. Everything was dead silent because the people in the eternal world did not know who was attacking and killing one powerful force after another. Yi Qinghan did not bother explaining. Instead, he led the cultivators from the immortal order out from eternal world. There, he cast a sneer at the despairing Sikong Tanlang and said, "The killer move you set up did not work at all. Now it's my turn. Hopefully, you can unravel my killer move as well." Chapter 25:15. Outside Sikong City, the direct descendants of the Sikong family were gathered together. Sikong Tanlang saw Yi Qinghan and the rest of the insane sect and knew that his plan was over. Yi Qinghan's face was cold. Now that everything was done, all that was left was to let Mu Zhuang and the other insane sect members rest in peace. Wushda Yi Qinghan took out the corpses of Charity Saint and Zhou Shuguang. The 3 corpses were still intact and lifelike, as if they were still alive. However, the vitality inside them had already disappeared. If it weren't for Yi Qinghan's good preservation, the 3 corpses would have become dull and lifeless. The number of people who died because of you is far more than these. These 3 are the representatives. If you kowtow to them 3,000 times, I'll let you die a quick death. If you don't, I'll let you know what real cruelty is. Yi Qinghan kicked Sikong Tanlang to the ground and said coldly. Sikong Tanlang had nothing left to lose. He glared at Yi Qinghan and said disdainfully, "You trash, you will always be trash. You want me to submit? Even if I die, I won't. You might as well just kill me." Yi Qinghan curled his lips and signaled with his eyes. Gu Qingyu and the others immediately pulled out Sikong Tanlang's 30 sons. Kill one in 3 breaths until he kowtows. If his sons don't kowtow and repent, then kill his grandchildren. Yi Qinghan said coldly. Puchi! Boom. Gu Qingyu didn't even think and killed a middle-aged man. It was Sikong Tanlang's eldest son. Sikong Tanlang glared at Yi Qinghan and roared, "What's the point of killing them? Come at me if you have the guts." Killing people was just a matter of nodding your head. Unfortunately, there were 1,000 ways to make someone suffer. The most painful way was to watch one's descendants being killed. Another 3 breaths later, Jiang Jingtian killed a very young expert with his spear. He was considered a genius of the Sikong family. "Bastard! I won't let you go even if I become a ghost." Sikong Tanlang's face was ferocious, but he was unwilling to kowtow to the 3 corpses. In his opinion, Mu Zhuang and the others were just ants in his domain. He was high and mighty, so why should he kowtow to ants? "Come find me when you become a ghost." Yi Qinghan looked at him coldly and said quietly, "Kill all his sons since he doesn't know how to cherish the opportunity." "Father, save me." Finally, the will of the Sikong clan collapsed and they began to beg for mercy. Some even began to curse Sikong Tanlang, hoping for a chance to live. Yi Qinghan looked at the people from the Sikong clan with interest. He waved his hand and took out a sharp sword and stabbed it into the ground. He said plainly, "I will spare whoever cuts off a piece of Sikong Tanlang." Sikong Tanlang's pupils shrank as he sucked in a breath of cold air. If his descendants were to cut off his body, he would probably collapse completely. In order to live, many people would go crazy. They would even kill their own father, not to mention cutting off a piece of meat. In an instant, at least 7 or 8 people rushed over to take the sword and cut off Sikong Tanlang's flesh. Adat Sikong Tanlang screamed and grimaced. His entire body twitched. His body was in pain, and his soul was in even more pain. 1 piece, 2 pieces, 3 pieces. In less than an hour, Sikong Tanlang had at least 30 pieces of flesh cut off. They were all cut off by Sikong Tanlang's sons and grandsons. Sikong Tanlang's blood flowed like a river, and his bones could be seen clearly. He was going to be dismembered. Yi Qinghan looked at the angry Sikong Tanlang with an indifferent expression. He smiled evilly and said, "I'm not afraid of you not compromising at all. Back then, I swore in front of Dawn, Wooden Stump, and other corpses that I would make you kowtow and repent in front of them. If you don't fulfill my wish, I will be very sad. Once I'm sad, I will make those who offend me beg for death. I can kowtow, but ouch." Sikong Tanlang could not take the abuse and could only beg for mercy. However, he still did not want to die. He looked at Yi Qinghan expectantly and begged, "I'll kowtow and repent, but please spare my life. I really don't want to die." Yi Qinghan's lips curled into a mocking smile. Anyone in the world could live, but Sikong Tanlang could not. "You can have dreams, but you have to take action first. Don't expect me to make a promise." Yi Qinghan lightly said. "Dong dong dong dong." Sikong Tanlang did not even think and immediately kowtowed and replied, "I was wrong. I was wrong. All of you rest in peace, please forgive me." 3,000 heads. It was not a lot, but it was not little either. Xinyuan Tai and boss Ling Yang stood at the side and watched. They felt that Yi Qinghan was definitely not a good person. It was best not to offend this kind of person. If you did, don't give him a chance to turn things around. Xinyuan Tai's killing intent flashed, but it was not the best time to make a move. 3,000 heads were quickly kowtowed. Sikong Tanlang's head was bleeding profusely. In order to live, he had to give it his all. "Sect Master Yi, you are a magnanimous person, please spare me." Sikong Tanlang fearfully begged for mercy. Yi Qinghan smiled disdainfully and gestured to Gu Qingyu and the others with his lips. This group of hot-blooded youths directly drew their swords and charged towards the Sikong clan. Whoosh! Puchidat in an instant, blood flowed like a river and corpses piled up like a mountain. There were thousands of Sikong clan's direct descendants, but not a single one survived. Even the dozens of people who attacked earlier did not survive. What a joke! If you are all alive, why aren't my dead brothers, sisters, and clansmen alive? Yi Qinghan waved his hand and took out Yen Ao's life origin spear. The spear pierced through Sikong Tanlang's skull and scattered his soul. Baleful aura rushed into Sikong Tanlang's sea of consciousness. Endless fear filled Sikong Tanlang's final consciousness. Sikong Tanlang's eyes before he died were extremely strange. Fear, anger, despair, and malevolence. Few at everyone from the insane sect breathed a sigh of relief. This grudge was finally cleared. Boom! Yi Qinghan's final fury erupted as he sent Sikong Tanlang's corpse flying. With a wave of his hand, he grabbed a sharp sword and nailed Sikong Tanlang's corpse to the city wall, hanging it at the highest point. "Whoever dares to take his corpse will be my enemy." Yi Qinghan's angry roar shook Sikong City into a deathly silence. Xinyuan Tai did not know what to say. This was his fief, and Sikong Tanlang was also one of his people. Now that he was tortured to death by Yi Qinghan, he had lost all face today. Ling Yang, on the other hand, was somewhat gloating. Seeing that the matter was over, she said, "If Mark Yi is fine, I will take the Tanlang steel and send it to the Qilin district." Yi Qinghan took a deep breath, looked at Xinyuan Tai indifferently, and said calmly, "Okay, thank you, Marquis Ling Yang." Ling Yang used the profound meaning and teleported into her own world through the boundary steel. Entering the Xian immortal plane was dependent on the boundary steel. As long as the boundary steel's laws were not destroyed, it could be teleported anywhere. Ling Yang waved her hand and sent Yi Qinghan and the others into her golden immortal world. She then said to Xianyuan Tai, "Marquis Tai, it's a small world. We will meet again soon. See you at the imperial capital's marquee banquet." Ling Yang disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye, leaving only Xianyuan Tai trembling. It seemed that he was quite angry. Boom! Xianyuan Tai waved his hand and shattered Sikong Tanlang's corpse. He wiped away the corpse and blood outside Sikong City and slowly stepped into the city. Chapter 25:16. The Qilin district had an area of 30 million square kilometers and a huge island. It was definitely the most desired land for the major powers. The northern Divine Island could allow the sects to attack or retreat. It was more than enough for them to exploit. The resources here were far better than the resources of the Kuang Manor. In order to make Yi Qinghan work for him, immortal Emperor Qingzun did not hesitate to use such resources and land in exchange. One had to admit that the immortal emperor's generosity and boldness far exceeded that of ordinary people. A prince like Xianyuan Jitsong was far inferior. Far away, in the Kuang Manor's territory near the imperial capital, the army had already entered and began to organize the resources in preparation for the Qilin district. Yi Qinghan was brought to the Kuang Manor's territory by Lord Ling Yang. The Kuang sect's army had just finished organizing the resources. "Marquis, I presume you will soon receive the decree of the marquee banquet. There is no need to go to the Qilin district. I will help you place the boundary marker in the Qilin district. Do you have a suitable place?" Marquis Ling Yang said indifferently. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and immediately said, "Just leave it at the place where that person summoned me. Marquis, I will remember this favor." Marquis Ling Yang immediately smiled and replied, "I do not dare to accept this favor. I am only helping you on the Lord's orders. If you are truly grateful, thank that Lord. You will be able to see him again after a while." With that, Marquis Ling Yang quickly left. Yi Qinghan saw that the army had finished organizing and smiled with relief. At this time he was really tired of war. He did not even want to use this army anymore. It would be sad even if one of them died. "Marquis Zun Long, Eastern Emperor Tai Zun, there is no hurry to settle the grudge between us. Once I reach the Emperor realm, I will definitely make you suffer." At this time, Xianyuan Qingyun and Yen Ao walked over side by side with smiles on their faces. "Boss, Sikong Tanlang is dead?" Yen Ao asked excitedly. Yi Qinghan smiled and nodded. "Yes, he is dead. He died by your spear. The Kuang sect's wish has been fulfilled. After a while, I will bury all my brothers who died in battle on the northern Divine Island in the Qilin district." With that, Yi Qinghan took out Yen Ao's life spear and returned it to him. "Thank you, boss." Yen Ao was wild with joy. Dying by his own natal immortal weapon was equivalent to personally killing him. Even though he did not go, his wish should be fulfilled. Hey, Yi Qinghan chuckled, patted Yen Ao's shoulder and said, "Stay here for a few days. I still have some things to do, so I might be delayed for a while." "What is it?" Xianyuan Qingyun asked curiously. Yi Qinghan didn't expect that Xianyuan Qingyun didn't know that he had been conferred the title of Marquis as well, so he explained, "I've already been conferred the title of Marquis. The conferment banquet will be held in a few days, so I'll wait for a while. There's no hurry, so I'll head directly to the Qilin district." "What? What did you say? You were conferred the title of Marquis? How come I didn't know about it? Who gave you the title of Marquis? You're at the initial stage of the mysterious immortal realm, so how could you possibly be conferred the title of Marquis?" Xianyuan Qingyun had a questioning expression, and she was slightly baffled as she felt Yi Qinghan had gone mad. Yi Qinghan shrugged and replied with a smile, "Your Highness, don't ask me. I'm also confused. It was Marquis Ling Yang who told me." "Fuck, is this true? Being conferred the title of Marquis at the initial stage of the mysterious immortal realm? Even the previous princes were not conferred the title of Marquis at the initial stage of the mysterious immortal realm, but you actually conferred the title of Marquis. You couldn't have met the Lord Immortal Emperor, right? Xianyuan Qingyun looked at Yi Qinghan in shock. She somewhat believed the fact that Marquis Lingyang had been conferred the title of Marquis because Marquis Lingyang was directly under the control of the Immortal Emperor. His words were definitely not false, and it was impossible for him to joke about such a huge matter. Yi Qinghan nodded, and it could be considered as tacitly agreeing with Xianyuan Qingyun's guess. Who? Xianyuan Qingyun exhaled a mouthful of turbid air and teased, "You've profited from a disaster. I'll have to rely on you to protect me in the future." Yi Qinghan signaled with his eyes, and Yen Ao very consciously left. With only the two of them left, Yi Qinghan sighed, "Your Highness, I have something to trouble you with. I might have offended your elder brother." "How did you offend him?" Xianyuan Qingyun asked in bewilderment. Yi Qinghan shook his head and smiled bitterly. "A few days ago, Xianyuan Tai went to find your elder brother. They should have reached an agreement. Later on, he came to talk to me alone and asked me to postpone my revenge. However, a few days ago, I killed Sikong Tanlang outside Sikong City, and Xianyuan Tai was right in front of me." Xianyuan Qingyun's eyelids twitched. She felt that this matter would really infuriate Xianyuan Jitsong. After all, the support of a golden immortal marquis was too important. Yi Qinghan was destroying his future, and Xianyuan Jitsong would definitely not let it go just like that. Xianyuan Qingyun sighed and said in a low voice, "Don't worry, I will talk to him properly. Moreover, if you really are a marquis now, my elder brother won't be so stupid. He will choose to overlook the fact that you killed Sikong Tanlang." Yi Qinghan nodded and sighed, "I hope so. I really don't want to offend Prince Jitsong. After all, he has done a lot for the Quang Mansion army. I should repay this favor. If he asks me to make concessions on other matters, I will give him face. However, when it comes to Sikong Tanlang, there is really no room for negotiation." Just as the two were discussing, a meteor streaked across the sky from the imperial capital and landed in front of the two. Xianyuan Qingyun was shocked and quickly said, "Sect Master Yi, this is Emperor Taihao. Why aren't you greeting him?" Taihao, Xianyuan Taihao, was Xianyuan Qingzuan's younger brother. He had a high status and authority, and generally, there was nothing that could disturb him. However, Xianyuan Taihao looked much older than Xianyuan Qingzuan. After all, he wasn't an immortal emperor. Yi Qinghan greets Emperor Taihao. Yi Qinghan immediately cupped his fists and bowed. Xianyuan Taihao didn't look very serious. Instead, he looked very amiable. He smiled faintly and didn't have too much of the imperial pressure. He just said indifferently, "You are indeed a dragon among men. No wonder my elder brother thinks so highly of you." He actually conferred a young, profound, immortal emperor the title of Marquis. Even young princes don't receive such treatment. Yi Qinghan replied respectfully, "Emperor Taihao thinks too highly of me." "Ha!" Emperor Taihao laughed loudly and said to Xianyuan Qingyun, "You know about the Marquis banquet. Help Marquis prepare it and bring him to the imperial capital. Prepare to be conferred the title of Marquis and announce it to the world." "Yes, Emperor Taihao." Only then did Xianyuan Qingyun confirm that Yi Qinghan had really been conferred the title of Marquis. She didn't know if she was happy or worried. Xianyuan Taihao said with a smile, "I came here mainly because this piece of land will be conferred to the third prince, Lin Hao. I have a lot of procedures to complete, so I won't accompany you." With that, Xianyuan Taihao turned and left, leaving behind a bewildered Xianyuan Qingyun. It was actually conferred to third brother. Could it be that the position of crown prince has been decided? Xianyuan Qingyun was somewhat unable to accept this. This was an important place to enter the imperial capital. If the Quang sect hadn't been too weak and could have taken it at any time, the imperial capital wouldn't have agreed to confer it to them. Yi Qinghan didn't know the importance of this piece of land. Looking at Xianyuan Qingyun's somewhat absent-minded face, he couldn't help but ask, "What's wrong, Your Highness?" Xianyuan Qingyun hurriedly shook her head and said, "Come with me quickly. We're going to the imperial capital." Chapter 25:17. Two warhorses galloped through the fief of Quang Prefecture. Yi Qinghan and Xianyuan Qingyun were heading straight for the imperial capital. Dozens of days later, the two appeared outside the imperial capital. The majestic imperial capital was filled with an ancient and desolate aura. This place had endured countless years of tempering and was still standing. As soon as they entered the imperial capital, Xianyuan Qingyun directly tossed her warhorse to the guards outside the city, and then she pulled Yi Qinghan along as she charged into the imperial capital. "Let's go see my brother first. There's still some time left for the banquet. I'll prepare it for you," Xianyuan Qingyun hastily said. It seemed like she couldn't accept the fact that the fief of Quang Prefecture had been given to Lin Hao. She had to make immortal Emperor Qingzun change his mind before the announcement. The heaven-suppressing imperial palace was located in the southwest part of the imperial clan's territory. It had green mountains and clear waters, surrounded by immortal energy. At this moment, Xianyuan Jitsong's expression was extremely ugly. Sitting across from him was Xianyuan Tai. "Prince Jitsong, this sect master Yi that you've trained doesn't seem to put you in his eyes," Xianyuan Tai indifferently said. He clearly knew that Yi Qinghan was a marquis, yet he didn't tell Jitsong. He was clearly trying to drive a wedge between the two. Yi Qinghan's marquis title was only known by a few people. It hadn't been announced to the world until Yi Qinghan came to the imperial capital to officially meet immortal Emperor Qingzun. Therefore, Prince Jitsong didn't know about it. Prince Jitsong was furious. This feeling of being looked down on made him very unhappy, especially since he considered Yi Qinghan his personal army. Now, Yi Qinghan didn't give him any face and didn't even say anything before attacking. How could he not be angry? This Yi Qinghan thinks he's infallible and treats my words like the wind. How preposterous! Xianyuan Jitsong smashed his iron fist against the stone. His eyes flashed with a fierce light. Xianyuan Tai sneered and didn't say anything else. Since he had angered Xianyuan Jitsong, there was no need for him to care about the rest. This marquis will take his leave. With that, Xianyuan Tai turns around and leaves. "Uncle Marquis Tai, our previous agreement." Xianyuan Jitsong hastily stood up. He wanted to ask Xianyuan Tai for his final opinion. However, Xianyuan Tai didn't give him the chance. He immediately disappeared from Jitsong Royal Palace. Xianyuan Jitsong was flustered and exasperated. He angrily rebuked, "Damned Yi Qinghan, how dare you ruin my plans?" After a short while, Xianyuan Qingyun brought Yi Qinghan into the imperial residence. They arrived at the rear garden and found Xianyuan Jitsong. As soon as Xianyuan Jitsong saw Yi Qinghan, he was furious. He angrily roared, "Yi Qinghan, you put this emperor's face on the ground and stepped on it. What great courage! The matter I told you a few days ago, you didn't even discuss it with me before directly killing Sikong Tanlang. You even deliberately angered Marquis Tai in front of him. Are you afraid that I'll gain power?" Xianyuan Qingyun was shocked. She didn't expect Xianyuan Jitsong to be so impulsive. He didn't even give her a chance to speak before offending Yi Qinghan. "Brother, what are you saying? It's not like you don't know about the enmity between Sikong Tanlang and Yi. Sect Master, I think you're the one who's confused. You actually reached an agreement with Marquis Tai. You should know that he's the second prince's man. How can you not know if he's trying to drive a wedge between us?" Xianyuan Qingyun angrily retorted. Xianyuan Jitsong was flustered and exasperated. He reached out and slapped Xianyuan Qingyun. Slap. This slap was very loud and clear, causing Xianyuan Qingyun to be stunned. They all say that girls side with outsiders. This emperor can see it clearly. How long have you known him? I'm your brother. You actually yelled at me because of him? Marquis Tai had already promised me. The cooked duck has already flown away. You actually blame me? Xianyuan Jitsong angrily rebuked. Xianyuan Qingyun felt a burning pain on her face. She could even feel the handprint on her face. She looked at Xianyuan Jitsong in disbelief. She felt that Xianyuan Jitsong had gone berserk again. You actually hit me? When you went berserk, I risked my life to go to Extreme Peak Mountain to find true spirit flame dragon grass for you. I almost died there. I just received news that Quang Manor's fief had been conferred to the third prince. Lin Hao and sect master Yi sped up without rest to inform you, but all they got was a slap. You actually said that I wasn't on your side? Fine, fine, fine. You're amazing. I'm the one who blocked your path. I won't care about your matters in the future. Xinyuan Qingyun was infuriated as well, and she pulled Yi Qinghan away. Xinyuan Jitsong's heart trembled. He felt that he had gone too far. He wanted to stop Xinyuan Qingyun and apologize, but his dignity as a prince stopped him. Yi Qinghan looked at Xinyuan Jitsong and shook his head. He sighed and didn't say anything. He knew that Xinyuan Jitsong had gone crazy for the sake of the crown prince position. The position of crown prince was a position where an immortal emperor was away or in seclusion. Only by becoming the crown prince would one have the opportunity to obtain the best resources and become a supreme being. It was the only chance to touch the immortal emperor realm. Otherwise, no one would be able to obtain so many resources. Yi Qinghan was pulled out of the royal mansion by Xinyuan Qingyun. Wah! Xinyuan Qingyun immediately squatted outside and cried like a 3-year-old child. She covered her burning face and couldn't stop her tears from flowing down. She had almost died several times for Xinyuan Jitsong. She didn't expect that she would receive a slap. No one would be able to endure it. Yi Qinghan didn't know how to comfort her. He could only squat down and pat her back. He softly said, "Forget it, don't be angry. Your brother will regret it. I saw his eyes earlier and he wanted to apologize. It's just that he didn't want to lose face. To be honest, I am partly responsible for this matter. I should have told him before I hit you." Xinyuan Qingyun was truly heartbroken. That slap was no different from being stabbed by a knife. The one who hit her was her own brother. Perhaps Xinyuan Jitsong knew that he was in the wrong. He was restless in the back garden. He wanted to rush out and apologize to Xinyuan Qingyun, but he was stopped by his pride. Especially when he thought of Yi Qinghan beside Xinyuan Qingyun, he couldn't help but get angry. This time, there was definitely a falling out. Xinyuan Jitsong's eyes flashed with coldness. He thought to himself, perhaps if I kill Yi Qinghan, Marketai will choose to support me. However, the insane sect and the insane sect will also be a great help. Killing Yi Qinghan is simple, but how can I shift the blame to others and make the insane sect submit to me for revenge? Xinyuan Jitsong slumped in his chair. His eyes were blurred as he thought about how to shift the blame to others. Outside the mansion, Yi Qinghan pulled Xinyuan Qingyun and left. They arrived at Xinyuan Qingyun's own mansion. This was the only princess mansion. After all, she was the most favored princess. Otherwise, she wouldn't have helped Yi Qinghan obtain the Kuang mansion's fief. Inside the princess mansion, Xinyuan Qingyun sat in the main hall. She didn't know what her next goal was. In the past, she wanted to help her brother obtain the position of crown prince. Now, she didn't even have her final goal. Yi Qinghan sat to the side. He didn't know how to comfort this woman. At this time, letting her be quiet might be the best choice. However, Sovereign Yi didn't want to be left out. He ran out of his bloodline and transformed into a human. He licked his lips and secretly said, "Boss, there are so many treasures in this mansion." Yi Qinghan's face darkened. He didn't expect this guy to be so shameless. He still wanted to take advantage of her at this time. Chapter 25:18. Princess Qingyun's residence was completely silent. She didn't say a single word and remained silent for an entire day and night. Yi Qinghan accompanied her like this for an entire day and night. Who knew where Sovereign Yi had run off to play? Xinyuan Qingyun was muddle-headed for a very long time. She finally woke up on the second day. She touched her cheeks, which were still burning with pain. Perhaps she had already given up. At this moment, she no longer wanted to care about Xinyuan Jitsong. She watched Yi Qinghan sitting in the main hall with his eyes closed, absent-minded for a long time. After about an incense stick's worth of time, Xinyuan Qingyun moved her body and said in a low voice, "Yi, let's go to the city to take a look. I'll prepare a set of noble attire for the marquee banquet. The banquet should be at the end of this month. After you meet the Lord Immortal Emperor, he'll announce it to the world." Yi Qinghan looked at Xinyuan Qingyun's ugly expression and couldn't help but sigh. It had to be said that being born in a royal family was both a blessing and a misfortune. Desire could cause kinship and friendship to change. Whether it was blood brothers or siblings, it was no longer pure kinship. There would be more or less benefits mixed in. Your Highness, do you want to rest for a bit before going? Yi Qinghan reminded her. I'll go wash my face and change my clothes. I'll adjust myself. Xianyuan Qingyun was very strong and immediately said. Yi Qinghan nodded and watched Xianyuan Qingyun leave the main hall and head to her quarters. Soon, Sovereign Yi slipped in from outside the main hall and said with a sneaky expression, Boss, there are many treasures here, huff. Yi Qinghan let out a breath of turbid air and said in a muffled voice, Shut up. They've helped us a lot. If you want treasures, why don't you go outside and look for them yourself? There are heavenly treasures everywhere. Sovereign Yi shrugged and snorted, Forget it if you don't want to. Anyway, I still have more than 10 billion celestial coins. Later, we'll go out and buy, then forget it. Yi Qinghan didn't want to bother with this guy anymore. He couldn't stay idle for even a minute. In less than 2 incense sticks worth of time, Xianyuan Qingyun had changed into a pure white fairy dress. She was a beauty that could topple nations, and even the heavens would pity her. Her well-rounded figure was fully revealed under the loose fairy dress, adding to her charm. The 5 finger marks on her face had mostly dissipated, and the remaining marks were even more pitiful. She had bright eyes, white teeth, cherry lips, big eyes, and snow-white skin that was almost flawless. She was at least a 9 out of 10. She was cold and unapproachable. However, she was very concerned about Yi Qinghan. Even though she was in a bad mood, she still forced a smile when she saw Yi Qinghan's infatuated look. Am I pretty? Only then did Yi Qinghan react. He immediately nodded and said, Beautiful. Out of all the women I've seen, very few can compare to you. There are no more than 5. Xianyuan Qingyun pretended to be angry and asked, There are actually 5 more? Poor they. Let's hear it. Ha! Yi Qinghan laughed heartily and gestured with his hand, Your Highness, please. Although those 5 people can stand shoulder to shoulder with you, they're still slightly inferior. Your imperial aura is enough to crush them all. Although Xianyuan Qingyun knew that Yi Qinghan did not mean what he said, she knew when to advance and when to retreat when she heard Yi Qinghan praise her like this. She smiled charmingly and walked out of the hall with graceful steps. The 2 of them walked side by side like a golden couple. They were definitely envied by others. Sovereign Yi followed behind the 2 of them like a shadow. He was so bored that he could only count with his fingers. As soon as they left the princess residence, they saw the main roads leading to the heavens. The majestic inner palace was not far away, and its imposing aura made people not dare to approach it. Many marquis estates are filled with traps that can take a person's life in an instant. Let alone you, there are even some laws that can kill people at the initial stage. There are also some archaic clans hidden in the well of the imperial city. There are countless capable people. If you can keep a low profile, do it. Don't be reckless, Xianyuan Qingyun reminded seriously as she led Yi Qinghan out of the city. Yi Qinghan nodded and said indifferently, I understand. I won't mess around in the imperial city. Once the bestowment ends, I will leave the imperial city and head to the Qilin district. If your highness is bored, you can go to the Qilin district to find me at any time. No problem. Now that I no longer have any concerns or goals, I will often go to the Qilin district. Just don't find it annoying, Xianyuan Qingyun said with a smile. Yi Qinghan smiled and said indifferently, Why would I? Your highness has helped me so much this time. If it weren't for you, I would have died in the demon sealing lair. I'm just the icing on the cake. If it weren't for the Guangzhong army, it would have been futile no matter how much I helped, Xianyuan Qingyun said truthfully, obviously not wanting to take the credit. The 2 of them chatted as they walked. Behind them, Sovereign Yi pursed his lips and made faces at the 2 of them. You 2 are so hypocritical. If it weren't for the fact that we're on the street, you would have praised each other to the bed, Sovereign Yi mocked in a crisp voice. You're asking for a beating. The 2 of them blushed and turned around to beat Sovereign Yi. Whoosh! Sovereign Yi fled more than 10 meters away with a whoosh and circled to the front of the 2 of them. I won't disturb you two anymore. I'll go ahead. After saying that, Sovereign Yi dashed ahead like a wisp of smoke and kept a long distance from the two of them. Yi Qinghan could only smile bitterly and said to Xinyuan Qingyun, Your Highness, don't take it to heart. That's just how this guy is. If he doesn't get beaten up for 3 days, he'll go overboard. I'm used to it. Xinyuan Qingyun's cheeks were slightly red, and she pretended to be calm as she replied, It's fine. He's a bitch after all. I understand him. You pair of bitches. Aren't you afraid that your tongues will rot if you speak ill of others behind their backs? Sovereign Yi turned around and scolded them with a smile. This weirdo was the only one who dared to scold the princess like that in the imperial capital. The key was that Xinyuan Qingyun was not angry at all. She even smiled. Not long after, the two of them entered the main street of the outer city with a smile. There was an endless stream of people and carriages, forming a sharp contrast with the inner city. As soon as the two of them appeared, they immediately attracted the attention of hundreds of people. They were shocked by their auras. The main character of the live projection hunting game. He's the only one who survived until now. I actually saw him alive. Quickly go over and say hello. I can also say that I know a legendary existence in the future. Several tens of people surrounded them excitedly, and more people surrounded them. They actually directly surrounded Yi Qinghan and Xinyuan Qingyun. Yi Qinghan immediately shielded Xinyuan Qingyun behind him and looked at the crowd vigilantly. After all, these people's cultivations were not that great. Moreover, they all had expressions of worship, so it was really not easy for him to teach them a lesson. Yi Qinghan held Xinyuan Qingyun's small waist and directly charged a few meters into the air with a stomp of his foot. He dashed over the heads of the crowd and escaped the encirclement with a flash. Sect Master Yi, when the news of you being conferred the title of Marquis spreads, countless people will idolize you. The youngest Marquis and the only one who survived the 88th level of the hunting game. At that time, countless women in the eternal immortal world will probably take you as their dream lover. Xinyuan Qingyun teased. Yi Qinghan laughed embarrassedly and let go of Xinyuan Qingyun's small waist, and then he laughed bitterly. I'd rather not have such honor. I don't have the slightest right to privacy. The entire eternal immortal world knows me, so it's difficult for me to do anything. Xinyuan Qingyun held her stomach as she roared with laughter. You don't know how many people in the younger generation envy your accomplishments, yet you actually despise it. If those young supreme exalts find out, they'll definitely gang up on you and beat you to death. As they chatted along the way, the friendship between the two of them grew closer and there was no gap between them at all. Chapter 25:19. Yi Qinghan and Xinyuan Qingyun's relationship grew closer. They were like two people who had known each other for many years. They knew each other well but didn't say much. Wherever the two of them went, they immediately caused a commotion, making it practically impossible for Yi Qinghan to move. Helpless, Xinyuan Qingyun could only point Yi Qinghan in the right direction and use a teleportation technique to rush towards the imperial family's private clothing workshop. There was only one shop that dared to use the words private clothing workshop. There were definitely no other shops. Only high officials and nobles could make clothes here. Even the rich were extremely rare. A grand shop actually occupied several dozen square kilometers in the outer city of the imperial capital. This wasn't just because they were rich, the people behind the shop were definitely influential figures. The words private clothing workshop were shockingly written on the shop's entrance. The guards at the entrance were two Sky Immortal experts. Don't underestimate these two Sky Immortal experts. They could memorize most of the celestial nation's influential and grand clans, patriarchs, and elders. Thus, when Xinyuan Qingyun appeared with Yi Qinghan, they immediately bowed to welcome them. Greetings, Your Highness. Princess, please come in. The two guards bowed and said. Xinyuan Qingyun nodded. It wasn't her first time here, so she was very familiar with the place. She didn't need anyone to lead the way at all. She brought Yi Qinghan into the interior of the clothing workshop. The interior of the clothing workshop was one with mountains and rivers. Green willows hung over the water's surface. Several hundred simple old residences stood tall, filled with immortal markings and talisman arts. A dozen servants were busy running back and forth. There was no one else wandering around here. Xianyuan Qingyun brought Yi Qinghan straight to the elders' hall in the clothing workshop, while Sovereign Yi followed behind with a wretched expression. The elders' hall occupied the most central position. This was also the banquet hall. There were definitely not many people who could be received by the elders' hall. At this moment, there were actually 20 to 30 people in the banquet hall. Moreover, 80% of them were women. There were only 7 or 8 young people. Xianyuan Qingyun heard some clear and melodious laughter from very far away. It was very familiar. There were quite a few princesses, princes, and the children of marquises. The rest were also the children of nobles. This was the most powerful circle in the imperial capital. She never expected that they would all gather here today. Yi Qinghan looked at Xianyuan Qingyun and discovered that she didn't like the group from the Hall of Elders, so he asked, "What's wrong? The people in Second Brother's circle are on very bad terms with me. I don't know why they're all here today." Xianyuan Qingyun's mood had just improved, but when she heard the voices of this group of people, her mood immediately soured again. "Don't worry about it. You don't care about Prince Shizong anymore. Just let them be. You're a princess after all. They wouldn't dare disrespect you," Yi Qinghan said. Xianyuan Qingyun took a deep breath and adjusted her state of mind. She actually took the initiative to reach out and grab Yi Qinghan's arm. With a proud expression, she pulled Yi Qinghan into the Hall of Elders. The 2 elders of the royal clothing workshop were currently entertaining the children of nobles, princesses, and children of marquises with smiles on their faces. It seemed that they didn't dare to offend the people in the most powerful circle in the imperial capital. The golden boy and jade girl slowly walked over. Xianyuan Qingyun held Yi Qinghan's arm and took the initiative to greet them with a smile on her face. "Good morning, sisters and brothers. I didn't expect to see you here. May I know what kind of joyous occasion you've gathered at the royal clothing workshop?" The dozen or so women and 7 handsome men immediately stopped talking. They looked at the 2 people outside the door with disbelief in their eyes. They didn't expect Xianyuan Qingyun to take the initiative to hold a man's arm. When they took a closer look, they realized that the man was actually Yi Qinghan, the legendary man who had become a household name a few days ago. "Oh, isn't this the pure and unconventional younger sister, Qingyun? Why are you taking the initiative to hold a man's arm today? Are you using your body to seduce a powerful young man for your elder brother?" The corners of the women's lips curled up in mockery. Xianyuan Qingyun's expression immediately changed. She snorted and said, "Do you think I'm the same as you? I won't care about the matters of the imperial court in the future. Yi and I are friends in the first place, and we're each other's saviors. How could I be as despicable as you think? Just because you're his savior, you can disregard the dignity of the imperial family and hook your arm around a man's shoulder? He's only someone outside the imperial court. No matter how powerful he is, he's still someone with a lowly bloodline. It's not that I'm scolding you, but you're already so old, yet you're still so immature. You should think about the dignity of the imperial family," a slightly older princess retorted with disdain. Yi Qinghan indifferently looked at the sharp-tongued women. He didn't get angry, but they treated him like a grasshopper that could be trampled on. The more Yi Qinghan didn't say anything, the more the group of people ridiculed him, causing Xianyuan Qingyun's face to flush red and her chest to heave up and down. However, even if Yi Qinghan could endure it, Supreme Sovereign Yi couldn't. He poked his head out and looked at the group of men and women in the most powerful circle. He asked with a pure and curious expression, "Your Highness, didn't the Hall of Elders say that it's specially used to entertain the noble and the imperial family? Why are there so many bastards here? And all of them are sharp-tongued, like a group of monkeys mating. The ratio of males to females is completely different. Could it be that they're like wild beasts?" This. His words caused everyone in the hall to gasp. The young men flew into a rage and waved their hands, wanting to draw their swords and kill Supreme Sovereign Yi. "Oh, you've got guts. Don't you know who I am? When I killed 300 Azure Dragon Guards in an instant, you were still sucking milk in someone else's arms. Now you dare to yell at me? Draw your swords and come over here. Today, I'll let you know why the flowers are so red. Supreme Sovereign Yi took out his bracelet shamelessly and kept weighing it in his hand. He had a despicable look on his face, as if he really didn't care about these nobles. The expressions of the imperial family's princess and marquis heirs changed drastically. They stared at Supreme Sovereign Yi, Yi Qinghan, and Xianyuan Qingyun coldly. You're tarnishing the imperial family's reputation. That's a capital offense. How dare you? Qingyun, don't trample on the imperial family's dignity just because you're favored. Xianyuan Qingyun didn't know how to refute everyone's accusations. However, Supreme Sovereign Yi raised his head and looked at everyone. He said domineeringly, I'm just stating a fact. Look at how vicious all of you are. You even want to humiliate your own sister. How can you be a member of the imperial family? If that's the case, the one who tarnished the imperial family's honor isn't me, but you. You're in groups, yelling at each other. Where's the propriety? Xianyuan Qingyun was amused. Supreme Sovereign Yi was fighting the group of scholars by himself. There was no need for her to make a move at all. Yi Qinghan smiled but didn't say anything. He looked coldly at these powerful circles. It didn't matter if they humiliated him. After all, he would just treat it as if he was bitten by a mad dog. However, it wouldn't make sense if he still endured the humiliation of Xianyuan Qingyun. Without Yi Qinghan restraining him, Supreme Sovereign Yi performed very well. He cursed all 18 generations of this group of people's ancestors. The key was that he didn't use any vulgarities when he cursed, which made this group of people flustered and exasperated. However, no one dared to make a move. After all, Yi Qinghan and Supreme Sovereign Yi's strength was obvious to all. Lowly person, I won't bicker with you today. The eldest princess in the lead had a furious look on her face. She then said to everyone, let's ignore this bitch. First, we'll clarify the requirements of the clothes with the elders. In a few days, we'll let the elites of the world see our elegance. We're 1,000 times stronger than those lowly bloodlines. Yi Qinghan and Xianyuan Qingyun glanced at each other. They seemed to have guessed something. They know there's going to be a marquee banquet, Yi Qinghan whispered to her through voice transmission. Xianyuan Qingyun replied with certainty, but they definitely don't know who the marquee is. I really wonder what kind of expression they'll have when they find out it's you. Chapter 25-20. The two elders didn't know how to persuade them as they watched the two sides quarrel. Because they knew the relationship between Xianyuan Qingyun and these nobles. Fortunately, these nobles didn't even say a word after being ridiculed by Exalt Yi. Xianyuan Qingyun gazed at the two elders and said indifferently, I want to see the master. I have something important to discuss with her. Please pass on the message. The two elders were astounded. Ordinary clothing didn't require the master's attention unless there were a few special circumstances. It was none other than the main character of a marquis. Only a marquis or above would require the master's attention. Even the clothes of a prince wouldn't require the master's attention. Your Highness, you know the rules. One of the elderly elders bowed as he reminded her. Xianyuan Qingyun said calmly, I naturally know the rules. It was Emperor Taihao who asked me to come. You just have to tell him. Meanwhile, the people in the second prince's circle looked at Xianyuan Qingyun with shock on their faces. Looks like it's definitely true since Emperor Taihao has personally spoken. Qingyun, do you know who has been conferred the title of Marquis? The eldest princess in the lead had a serious expression as she asked in a gentle voice. Xianyuan Qingyun grunted and said coldly, I don't know. Don't ask me. All of you made a solemn vow to dress up in the clothing store. Could it be that you don't know who has been conferred the title of Marquis? Oh my good sister. But there was a sudden rumor that someone has been conferred the title of Marquis in the inner city yesterday. We don't know who has been conferred the title of Marquis. If you know anything, you must tell big sister, said the eldest princess with a smile. Xianyuan Qingyun glanced coldly at her before pulling Yi Qinghan towards the inner hall. The two elders glanced at each other, and then the elderly elders swiftly retreated and charged out of the hall. The group of people in the Hall of Elders looked at each other. Never had they imagined that the person conferred the title of Marquis would be the youngest initial stage mysterious immortal, and it was even the lowly person they spoke of. This damned girl definitely knows who has been conferred the title of Marquis. Otherwise, why would Emperor Taihao ask her to come look for the master? The eldest princess had a gloomy expression. She never imagined that Xianyuan Qingyun would beat her to it. However, there was nothing they could do. Xianyuan Qingyun's status wasn't bad, and it was even much higher than most of the people here. They couldn't forcibly suppress her and interrogate her. Just as everyone was discussing how to get information out of him, the old elder quickly returned to the Hall of Elders. He arrived at the inner hall and found Yi Qinghan and Xianyuan Qingyun. He said respectfully, "The owner invites you. Please follow me." Xianyuan Qingyun and Yi Qinghan nodded indifferently, then stood up and followed the elder out of the inner hall. Xianyuan Qingyun looked coldly at the princesses and said, "Since you want information, it wouldn't be good if I didn't tell you. Let me tell you something. The fief of Kuang Manor has changed owners. It now belongs to my third brother, Prince Lin Hao." After she finished speaking, Xianyuan Qingyun pulled Yi Qinghan and left the Hall of Elders. Sovereign Yi made a face at everyone, but they were already stunned by the news of the fief, so they completely ignored his face. Yi Qinghan lowered his head and thought for a while, then transmitted his voice, "I know who spread the news. It must be Xianyuan Tai, but he didn't say who was conferred the title of Marquis. He had these nobles and princesses offend me and cut off my path of retreat. He didn't let me make friends with the imperial family, and then sowed discord between me and your brother. Even if I'm conferred the title of Marquis, I'll still be alone." Xianyuan Qingyun took a deep breath. After hearing Yi Qinghan's words, she realized that was indeed the case. This Marquis Tai is not to be trifled with. He's very scheming. In addition, he's a branch family member of the imperial family. He has a high position and authority, and he does things flawlessly. We don't have any evidence, so we can't do anything to him. Even if we do have evidence, we can't do anything to him. Xianyuan Qingyun smiled bitterly. "Don't care about him. I don't want to get involved with your imperial family. After I'm conferred the title of Marquis, I'll sever all ties with the imperial capital. I only need to contact the Lord Immortal Emperor," Yi Qinghan said faintly. The two of them quickly followed the elder into the owner's pavilion and quietly climbed up the stairs. "Elder Zhang, you can leave." "Her Highness," Sect Master Yi, "and that little fellow, come in." A clear voice came from the room at the top of the pavilion. The owner was a woman. Xianyuan Qingyun pulled Yi Qinghan and Sovereign Yi in and immediately pushed the door open. What entered their eyes was a well-rounded woman. She was even more beautiful than Xianyuan Qingyun. Most importantly, she had all the charm that a woman should have. The clothes she wore were also unprecedented, and they just happened to complement her beauty. "Qingyun greets Aunt Owner," Xianyuan Qingyun said respectfully. The owner was actually Qingyun's aunt. Yi Qinghan couldn't help but be surprised. No wonder this imperial clothing workshop was so special. This owner was the daughter of Emperor Taihao and was very favored. However, she wasn't interested in cultivating or fighting for power with the imperial family. Instead, she liked to refine beautiful clothes. In the end, she was accepted by the imperial family and became the owner of the imperial clothing workshop. The owner had bright eyes and white teeth. She had some baby fat and a well-rounded figure. When she slowly stood up, her slender legs were in full view. Her fashionable clothes accentuated her figure. She wasn't exactly revealing, but her beauty was on full display. Yi Qinghan's heart almost stopped. This woman was too good at dressing herself up. Yi Qinghan greets esteemed owner. Yi Qinghan hurriedly restrained his distracting thoughts and bowed with cupped fists. The owner was about 1.7 meters tall, but she still appeared small and dainty in front of Yi Qinghan. She stood at the window and slowly turned around to look at Yi Qinghan. She asked indifferently, "You're the one who's been conferred Marquis? I've never seen such a person before. However, you do look talented and your strength is all right. You just lack a bit of foundation." The owner's eyes were as sharp as pearls. She saw through Yi Qinghan's nature with a single glance. Yi Qinghan was sweating profusely. He felt that this woman had seen through him completely. He didn't have any secrets left. "Aunt, it's Yi who's been conferred marquis. Can you personally help me make a marquis robe and make one for me as well? I want to be the female lead of the banquet," Xianyuan Qingyun said coquettishly with a pleading expression. The owner smiled faintly. She was so beautiful that words couldn't describe it. "You're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen." "There's no other," Sovereign Yi said with certainty. The owner lowered her head to look at Sovereign Yi and said with a smile, "You're better at talking than your master. This block of wood can't even fart after being beaten 3 times. Don't expect him to flatter women," Sovereign Yi said frankly. Interesting. This is the first time I've seen such a master and servant." The owner smiled very naturally. It seemed that she was really amused by Sovereign Yi. Yi Qinghan's forehead was full of black lines. Sovereign Yi, this bastard, had to mock him no matter the occasion. He didn't give him any face at all. Xianyuan Qingyun shrugged. The name of bitch bird was incomparable. No one in the world could contend against it. The owner slowly sat cross-legged on the ground and said indifferently, "I'm in a good mood today. The 3 of you, spread your arms and legs and stand upright. I'll make a robe for each of you. I guarantee that it'll amaze the world." Xianyuan Qingyun was immediately overjoyed. There weren't many opportunities for the owner to personally make a move. Chapter 25-21. The workshop master looked at the 3 of them and waved her brush to design the marquis robes. The marquis ceremony was a very grand event. Under normal circumstances, the marquis ceremony would only happen when a golden immortal was born. Only a few favored princes would be conferred the marquis ceremony when they were at the peak of the mystic immortal realm and had a chance of touching the golden immortal realm bottleneck. Therefore, there were very few of them. The workshop master would only personally design the marquis ceremony. Even the marquis would not wear the marquis robes personally designed by the workshop master. They would only be worn on important occasions and were extremely treasured. At this moment, Xianyuan Qingyun was extremely excited. Other than the marquis, she was the first non-marquis to receive the marquis robes. Sovereign Yi was also looking forward to it. He liked to be in the limelight. If he could shine during the marquis ceremony, he would be even more excited than the main character. Yi Qinghan looked straight ahead at the workshop master and listened to her suggestions while constantly changing his posture. After 6 hours, the workshop master finally let the 3 of them change back to their normal posture. Phew! The 3 of them exhaled at the same time and relaxed a lot. "Beauty, you must design the most handsome and flashy clothes for me," Sovereign Yi said excitedly. The workshop master smiled faintly and said calmly, "Go back. I will have someone send the clothes to the princess residence in half a month." Yi Qinghan and Xianyuan Qingyun bowed at the same time and said, "Thank you, workshop master." After the 3 of them left the imperial clothing workshop, they did not dare to wander around the outer city as there were too many people surrounding them. Yi Qinghan flew directly into the inner city with Xianyuan Qingyun. They landed as soon as they entered the inner city because flying was not allowed in the inner city, not even the marquis. "Your Highness, you are going back to the princess residence." "Where am I going? It's definitely not convenient for me to stay in the princess residence." Yi Qinghan walked on the main road and asked helplessly. Xianyuan Qingyun rolled her eyes at Yi Qinghan and reprimanded him, "Stay in the princess residence, my ass. Father will beat you to death if he knows. Now is not the time to find a place to stay, but to formally greet the immortal emperor. Only then will the immortal emperor announce the marquis ceremony to the world." Yi Qinghan smiled sheepishly. He did not understand these things at all. "Take that damned bird away. He can't enter the inner palace. I'll take you to see the Lord Immortal Emperor now. It's not certain whether you'll be able to see him today." Xianyuan Qingyun tidied up her clothes and became much more serious. Yi Qinghan didn't care whether Sovereign Yi agreed or not. He forcefully suppressed Sovereign Ye's bloodline and headed straight for the inner palace with Xianyuan Qingyun. The inner palace was vast and majestic. It was filled with an ancient aura and was enveloped by the power of an emperor. The inner palace actually had the spirit of mountains and rivers. Even Yi Qinghan felt a great deal of pressure when he looked at Lu Xian. There were as many experts as there were clouds in the inner palace, and mystic immortal level guards could be seen everywhere. There were even more hidden in the shadows. Fortunately, Shenyuan Qingyun was leading the way. Otherwise, Yi Qinghan might have been killed as soon as he entered the inner palace. It was much harder to pass through the checkpoints here than in the hunting game. There were dangers everywhere. Yi Qinghan followed closely behind Shenyuan Qingyun and kept turning. The inner palace actually contained mountains, rivers, and lakes. Immortal trees stood in great numbers and hundreds of flowers bloomed. Immortal spiritual energy directly seeped into the shroud and entered his body. Boom! Yi Qinghan felt his vital energy and blood burning and boiling. If he could bitterly cultivate in the inner palace, then it probably wouldn't take long for him to become a mid-stage mystic immortal. Your Highness, I'm very curious. How long have you been cultivating? Yi Qinghan asked very curiously. Shenyuan Qingyun rolled her eyes at Yi Qinghan and said proudly, not long. In any case, it's much shorter than you. Yi Qinghan shrugged and followed Shenyuan Qingyun all the way to the imperial palace. They found the inner palace's general manager, Shen Yuan. This old man had followed the immortal emperor for who knew how many years. He was incomparably old and should have turned into the Tao long ago. However, he had been forcefully kept by the immortal emperor until now. He was deeply favored by the immortal emperor. Even if he hadn't been conferred the title of marquis, any marquis would have to bow and greet him. Grandpa Shen Yuan, Emperor Taihao asked me to bring Sect Master Yi to see the immortal emperor. Can you pass on the message? Shenyuan Qingyun said loudly. At this moment, even Shen Yuan's hearing had deteriorated greatly. He wasn't much better than Qiu Jianxian. He leaned on his golden walking stick and looked at Shenyuan Qingyun as he murmured, It's Taihao. This old man will go ask the immortal emperor if he's free. After saying that, Shen Yuan walked into the imperial palace while trembling slightly with his walking stick, leaving Shenyuan Qingyun and Yi Qinghan standing where they were. Shenyuan Qingyun said softly, This general manager, Shen Yuan, once saved the immortal emperor when he was young. No matter who you offend, don't offend him. Yi Qinghan nodded and waited silently. In the inner palace, no one could guarantee that their every word and action would not be monitored by others. After a while, Shen Yuan slowly walked over. His turbid eyes looked at Yi Qinghan as he said hoarsely, The immortal emperor is in the side chamber and wants to see you. Go in. Thank you, General Manager. Yi Qinghan and Shenyuan Qingyun bowed. The two entered the imperial palace side by side. There was no one inside. Shenyuan Qingyun was familiar with the place as she led Yi Qinghan into the side chamber. It was dazzling with gold and jade and was enveloped by the ancient Grand Tao. The pressure was terrifying and the emperor's aura was vast and mighty. The pressure caused Yi Qinghan and Shenyuan Qingyun to involuntarily kneel on the ground. Immortal Emperor Qingzun's back was facing the two. He was holding a purple jade cup in his hand. His back was majestic, like the dome of the sky. His aura was even more powerful than Yi Qinghan's. Yi Qinghan swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He even wondered if the person he had met before was Immortal Emperor Qingzun. Yi Qinghan, have you fulfilled your wish? Immortal Emperor Qingzun asked calmly without turning his head. Thank you, Immortal Emperor, for your words. Marquis Tai did not intervene and allowed me to fulfill my long-suppressed wish, Yi Qinghan said respectfully. Immortal Emperor Qingzun smiled faintly and placed the purple jade cup on the table beside him. It's good that you've completed it. You're vicious and merciless. You vented all the pent-up resentment in Guangzong's heart. You have courage. This emperor admires you. Yi Qinghan was drenched in cold sweat. He knew he couldn't hide it from Immortal Emperor Qingzun. The 5 great immortal empires have vast territories, but everyone wants to take a step forward. The Dragon Emperor Immortal Empire, which is close to the Qingzun Immortal Empire, has the revered Dragon Army. If it wasn't for Ling Yang protecting the border, the Dragon Emperor Immortal Empire would have been in need of a leader. Your disciple Yen Ao is suitable, but he lacks the charisma to lead a group of heroes. He needs your support. Therefore, This emperor wants to confer you the title of Marquis. Marquis Guangzong. That was only Ling Yang's guess. Immortal Emperor Qingzun actually allowed Yi Qinghan to choose his own title. One had to admit that he was giving enough face. Yi Qinghan's fingertips trembled. His blood flowed faster. Once he was conferred the title of Marquis, Guangzong would have more confidence. Many thanks, Lord Immortal Emperor. It's up to you to decide. The title bestowed by Lord Immortal Emperor is the most honorable, Yi Qinghan said respectfully. Although Xianyuan Qingyun was favored, she didn't dare to speak nonsense. After all, this was one of the biggest events in the great immortal empire. It was comparable to the title of Crown Prince. A girl couldn't interrupt. According to Ling Yang and Taihao, you should be conferred the title of Mad Martial Marquis. This emperor means heaven-suppressing marquis. Which one do you like? Immortal Emperor Qingzun turned around. Mad Martial Marquis was already very arrogant. Heaven-suppressing Marquis was even more arrogant. Who dared to use this title to confer a marquis? Immortal Emperor Qingzun saw the sweat on Yi Qinghan's forehead and smiled. I know you like heaven-suppressing Marquis. If you don't want to choose, I'll choose for you. I'll follow Lord Immortal Emperor's orders. Yi Qinghan immediately said. Immortal Emperor Qingzun said indifferently. Then choose heaven-suppressing Marquis. 1 month later, announce to the world that the great immortal empire is projected. I'll introduce you to many marquises during the Marquis ceremony. Thank you, Sir Immortal Emperor. I will definitely repay your kindness. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath. He knew that it was time for him to declare his stance. Qingzun Immortal Emperor nodded and looked at Xianyuan Qingyun. Heaven-suppressing Marquis doesn't have a Marquis estate yet, so he'll stay in your princess estate. Xianyuan Qingyun's heartbeat sped up, and her face flushed red. She hastily said, Yes, Immortal Emperor. Today's 4th chapter, looking for monthly recommendation tickets. Welcome to DPS Reading Support subscription. Chapter 5 should be around 3 p.m. Chapter 25-22. After leaving the Imperial Palace, Yi Qinghan felt cold sweat all over his body. Officially meeting the Immortal Emperor was indeed different. At this moment, even Xianyuan Qingyun was trembling. She pulled Yi Qinghan and quickly escaped from the inner palace. Why do I feel that this Marquis conferment is so strange? They actually let you choose your own title. Once out of the inner palace, Xianyuan Qingyun was completely relieved. She patted her huge chest and said, At this moment, Yi Qinghan could only guess 30% of the Immortal Emperor's thoughts. First, Immortal Emperor Qingzun definitely wanted to put Yi Qinghan in an important position. Second, the Heaven Suppression Marquis. The arrogant one was not Yi Qinghan. If Yi Qinghan was the Heaven Suppression Marquis, then what was Immortal Emperor Qingzun? The master of the Heaven Suppression Marquis. The truly arrogant one was Immortal Emperor Qingzun. Thirdly, Qingzun Immortal Emperor wanted Yi Qinghan to enter the Crying Ghost's Ridge and the other 2 forbidden grounds with the determination to die. If he could survive, he would use Yi Qinghan to guard the northern borders and become a sharp knife that would stab the throat of the Dragon Emperor Immortal Kingdom. Fourth, he arranged for him to stay in the princess residence. He definitely wanted to use Xianyuan Qingyun to control Yi Qinghan and turn Yi Qinghan into a member of the imperial family so that he would be loyal to the imperial family. As for Immortal Emperor Qingzun's other thoughts, Yi Qinghan didn't know and didn't want to guess. After all, he was only using Immortal Emperor Qingzun to gain a foothold. There was no need to think too much about it. Yi Qinghan whispered, Let's go back to the princess residence first. Today we met the Immortal Emperor. Many people must have heard the news and guessed that I was the one conferred the Marquis title. The princess residence will be very lively recently. Xianyuan Qingyun pursed her lips and said proudly, Want to enter my princess residence? It's not that simple. The 2 of them entered the princess residence side by side. Xianyuan Qingyun immediately had the guards seal the entrance and refused to see any guests. Sure enough, it was just as Yi Qinghan had guessed. On that day, at least a few dozen high officials and nobles came to pay a visit to the princess's estate. However, All of them were refused entry. If Shenyuan Qingyun was still supporting Shenyuan Jitsong in the past, then she would definitely meet these people. However, she didn't want to participate in the battle for the position of crown prince anymore, so she refused to meet anyone. In the Jitsong royal palace, Shenyuan Jitsong's face changed as he held the information in his hand. How is that possible? Qin Yun actually brought Yi Qinghan to see the immortal emperor. The immortal emperor actually met with them. Could it be that Yi Qinghan was the one conferred the title of Marquis? Impossible. He's only at the initial stage of the mysterious immortal realm, and he's only an ant. How could he possibly be taken seriously by the immortal emperor? Shenyuan Jitsong's heart is in chaos. Although he doesn't believe it, he is still terrified. What if it's true? Beads of cold sweat appeared on Shenyuan Jitsong's forehead. They originally had a very good relationship, but now it's like ice and fire can't coexist. Moreover, he even beat his own sister away. Their relationship is on the verge of collapse. If it's true, then wouldn't I have been tricked by Marquis Tai? He knew that Yi Qinghan was conferred the title of Marquis, so he deliberately instigated it? Shenyuan Jitsong suddenly stood up. He suddenly remembered that when Yi Qinghan killed Sikong Tanlang, Lord Lingyang was also present. Could it be that the immortal emperor gave permission or orders for Marquis Lingyang to help Yi Qinghan? If that's the case, then the one conferred the title of Marquis must be Yi Qinghan. Shenyuan Jitsong's face immediately turned ugly. He said to himself hoarsely, could it be that I was tricked by Marquis Tai? He doesn't want to cooperate with me at all. Instead, he wants to destroy my foundation? Bang! Shenyuan Jitsong slammed his fist on the table. His face was ferocious. His resentment towards Marquis Tai had reached its peak. What a xiao! Shenyuan Jitsong's figure flashed and directly left the royal residence, heading straight for Princess Qingyun's residence. At this time, the princess's residence was as crowded as a marketplace. Many high officials and nobles were waiting outside, but they were all stopped outside. Shenyuan Jitsong's face was cold. He directly stepped into the abdomen, but was stopped by the guards. Your Highness, the princess said that she won't see any guests for a month. Please don't make things difficult for us. The guards said bitterly. Shenyuan Jitsong was even angrier. He was about to explode, but then he remembered that he had already offended Qingyun. If he angered her again, there would be no room for reconciliation. Go and tell them that I'm here, Shenyuan Jitsong said. The guards didn't dare to disobey the prince's orders. They immediately ran into the main hall of the princess's residence. At this time, Yi Qinghan and Shenyuan Qingyun were discussing the major powers and the situation in the undying immortal realm. Reporting, Your Highness. Prince Jitsong has come to request an audience. The guards respectfully knelt outside the residence and reported. Shenyuan Qingyun snorted and directly replied, I won't see him. Tell him to go as far away as possible. From now on, he and I are no longer acquainted. The guard's forehead was covered in cold sweat. If he said this, Prince Jitsong would probably kill him. Yi Qinghan saw this and sighed, Your Highness, there's no need to make things difficult for the guards. Let him in. Just talk things out. Shenyuan Qingyun took a deep breath. She didn't want to appear too childish and unruly in front of Yi Qinghan. She nodded and said, Let him in. Your Highness. The guard looked gratefully at Yi Qinghan and immediately retreated. A moment later, Shenyuan Jitsong walked in with a face full of regret. He said apologetically, Sister, I was wrong the day before yesterday. I wanted to apologize at that time, but I was too angry. I hope you and Sect Master Yi won't be angry. Shenyuan Qingyun bluntly replied, It doesn't matter if you're sincere or not. From now on, I won't care about your matters. I let you in today to make things clear. It has nothing to do with the guards. Don't make things difficult for my guards in the future. Shenyuan Jitsong's expression changed slightly, but he still suppressed his temper and said with a bitter smile, Sister, I just woke up not long ago. Sometimes my brain can't react. This time I was really provoked by Marquis Tai. Don't be angry with me. After all, we're siblings. However, Shenyuan Qingyun had really given up. She could guess that he came to apologize because the person who was conferred the title of Marquis might be Yi Qinghan. This brother was completely different from before. Therefore, she didn't choose to forgive him. Xianyuan Jitsong looked at Yi Qinghan with a bitter smile and said apologetically, "Brother Yi, you and I are both men. I hope you won't blame me for losing my composure that day. I apologize for what happened that day." After saying that, Xianyuan Jitsong bowed. He was very sincere. Yi Qinghan immediately stood up and helped Xianyuan Jitsong up. He said indifferently, "Prince, there's no need to be like this. I was wrong that day. I should have told you in advance. However, I was in a hurry when Master Lingyang took me away. I was also very excited when I took my revenge. Therefore, I forgot about this. Plus, Marquis Xianyuan Tai caused some misunderstandings between us. I understand, don't take it to heart. However, I can't understand your actions towards Princess Qingyun. It's good that you don't blame me." Xianyuan Jitsong let out a sigh of relief. He came to Xianyuan Qingyun's side and ruthlessly slapped himself twice. Slap, slap. It was very loud. He used all of his strength to slap himself. In an instant, 2 clear handprints appeared on Xianyuan Jitsong's face. "Sister, you and I are siblings. I treated you like a pearl in my palm and didn't let anyone bully you. I won't do that in the future. I was foolish that day. These 2 slaps are my punishment. If you're still angry, then slap yourself twice." Xianyuan Jitsong said in a deep voice. Xianyuan Qingyun sighed and held Xianyuan Jitsong's hands. "Brother, you don't have to be like this. I can forgive you. However, I won't interfere in your matters in the future. If you're in danger, I'll naturally save you. However, I won't help you with the position of Crown Prince." Xianyuan Jitsong bitterly smiled and asked, "Then is Brother Yi the one who was conferred the title of Marquis? Yes or no, what does it matter?" Yi Qinghan asked back. Xianyuan Jitsong was stunned for a moment. He immediately reacted and said, "It doesn't matter. Whether you're the one who was conferred the title of Marquis or not, you and I are friends. You saved me and I helped you. It has nothing to do with status." Yi Qinghan looked at Xianyuan Jitsong and knew what he was thinking. He directly said, "Regarding the position of Crown Prince, I'll help if I can. If I can't, I won't interfere. Prince Jitsong should consider Her Highness." Chapter 25-23. Xianyuan Qingyun didn't give Xianyuan Jitsong any face at all. If Xianyuan Jitsong had come to apologize before Yi Qinghan formally met the immortal emperor, it might have been useful. Unfortunately, apologizing after the meeting wasn't considered as brotherly love anymore. Xianyuan Jitsong was chased out of the princess residence and secretly regretted it. At this moment, he even hoped that the person conferred the title of Marquis wasn't Yi Qinghan. No one was sure who would be conferred the title of Marquis. On the second day in front of Yi Qinghan, Immortal Emperor Qingzun released a piece of news from the Qingzun Immortal Empire. A new Marquis was born, and everyone was celebrating. A banquet would be held 2 months later. The banquet would be projected to all the cities in the empire so that the world could pay homage to the new Marquis. Heaven-suppressing Marquis. The title had been announced, but no one knew who would be conferred the title because no new golden immortal was born recently. Only a few people truly knew, but the immortal emperor was keeping everyone in suspense, so no one dared to spread the news. Lingyang didn't say anything, Xianyuan Tai didn't say anything, and Emperor Taihao naturally wouldn't tell anyone. As for the Imperial Clothing Workshop, no one wanted to inquire about it. Everyone knew that the workshop owner was a stubborn person. Not to mention asking about her, they couldn't even see her. The princess residence was as busy as a marketplace, but no one could enter. Even Xianyuan Qingyun's brother was disheartened. The others finally realized that it was unrealistic to ask anything. Yi Qinghan directly went into seclusion in the princess residence to comprehend the first level of the human Tao. Human Tao was based on people. Humans were different from ancient immortals and other races. They were born with 7 emotions and 6 desires. The human bloodline might not be strong, and their strength might not even be comparable to wild beasts, but through cultivation, they could evolve their bloodline. They could also uproot mountains and fill seas, destroy the sun, moon, mountains, and rivers. They could even distort time and space and create a high-level universe. The ultimate profound of the human Tao was to create a higher-level universe. At that level, one would be a god creator. Creating immortals was just a matter of waving their hand. The high-level universe they created was comparable to the immortal world, an existence similar to the ancient immortal world. At that level, all time and space were relative. To that kind of person, everything was just an illusion. He was called Ancestor. The flame ancestor only took a small step forward. Unfortunately, time waits for no man. He was ganged up on and killed by the immortal emperors of the various powerful races. If not, the current situation would have changed completely. For cultivation, other races relied on the immortal chi of heaven and earth, borrowing the great Tao of heaven and earth. However, humans had another source of power, and that was emotions. Emotions could force out the strongest potential of humans, and they could reach a heaven-defying level. This kind of feeling did not refer to the so-called dual cultivation technique. That was the lowest level of yin and yang that relied on the fleshly body. The human Tao cultivation technique was the top existence of human cultivation techniques. The first level of the art of human Tao was to harmonize one's physical body with the world, borrowing the power of the sun, moon, mountains, and rivers to reach a certain level. A single punch would be able to shatter mountains and rivers, and there were dozens of divine abilities to complement it. Broken Sun Fan Ye's great divine ability, Broken Void Condensing Sword great divine ability, Tyrant Blood Burning Sky great divine ability, Flaming Sky Flying Snow great divine ability, Falling Dust Piercing Sun and Moon great divine ability, Time Stop great divine ability, and so on. Each of these divine abilities could destroy the sky and the sun. Some could even reverse space and stop time temporarily. If one wanted to cultivate these grand divine abilities, the only requirement was to cultivate the first level of the human Tao profundity to the mastery realm. If one wanted to break through the mastery realm and enter the second level, then one had to cultivate at least 10 grand divine ability profundities. The inheritance memories of the Yen Emperor Crown Prince only contained the profoundness. There was no cultivation experience. Yi Qinghan comprehended it for a long time, but he could only cultivate it to the lesser success stage. Emotions, Yi Qinghan muttered to himself. This kind of thing was very mysterious. As long as one could comprehend the realm, one's progress would be very fast. But if one could not comprehend the realm, one would not be able to enter that state even if one was close at hand. Yi Qinghan pondered for a long time. He had been thinking about the difference between humans and the ancient immortals, the Eastern Emperor, the ancient god, the bird race, or the dragon race. The reason why the art of human Tao was difficult to cultivate and why other races could not cultivate it must be because of this difference. Hua Yi Qinghan summoned Little Fox Immortal and negotiated, "Little Fox Immortal, can I study your body?" Little Fox Immortal's beautiful face blushed slightly. She spat at Yi Qinghan and said angrily, "I thought you were a decent person. Who knew that you were also a pervert?" Yi Qinghan then realized that he had said something wrong. He quickly corrected himself and said, "I was talking about the bloodline and body structure." "Is there a difference?" Little Fox Immortal raised her head and asked. "But..." Yi Qinghan impolitely pressed Little Fox Immortal down on the bed. He gently patted her butt and snorted, "I discussed with you but you didn't listen. You wanted me to use force." Little Fox Immortal tenderly snorted and screamed. It was estimated that a hot-blooded man would not be able to control himself. "Your servant agrees. Why do you need to use force?" Little Fox Immortal was very charming. She coquettishly wrapped around Yi Qinghan's waist. Yi Qinghan rolled his eyes and mocked, "Damn, so you are a masochist. If I knew earlier, I wouldn't have discussed with you." After speaking, Yi Qinghan helped Little Fox Immortal up. He put his hands on top of her peak and used his divine sense to sense her blood and blood. He wanted to compare the difference between the Yen clan's bloodline and the other races. Dong dong dong, Little Fox Immortal's pink face was as red as an apple. Her little heart was beating wildly. Her peak rose and fell. She exuded the unique aura of the Fox clan. It was very charming. Yi Qinghan frowned. However, he did not blame her. After all, Little Fox Immortal's cultivation was too low. It was difficult for her to control her race's talent. Little Fox Immortal's bloodline was too low level. However, he could still see that her bloodline structure was fundamentally different from the Yen clan's. However, due to her bloodline being too low level or his divine sense being limited, he could not completely see the difference between the two. Yi Qinghan slowly retracted his hands. He stroked his chin and secretly said to himself, I can't go and study Princess Qingyun's bloodline. After all, men and women should not touch each other. It is not good to ruin the princess' reputation. Wah! Little Fox Immortal looked at Yi Qinghan's sly smile. She actually took the initiative to unbutton her clothes. With a righteous look, she said, Come! Since I can't resist, I might as well enjoy it. Yi Qinghan looked at the two peaks. Her skin was like cream and exuded the unique aura of the Fox clan. He had not touched a woman for a long time, and a certain part of him had a reaction. You are the one who delivered yourself to me. Yi Qinghan unceremoniously threw Little Fox Immortal onto the bed. His hands held the uncontrollable peaks that were as soft as water. They were incomparably smooth. His eyes stared at Little Fox Immortal's beautiful and cute face. He secretly said, Anyway, her and the others are not by my side. She is only my little spiritual pet. I bring her with me every day. She is not a pure woman, so I don't need to take responsibility. Little Fox Immortal's face was red. Her fragrance was overwhelming. Her body was limp on the bed. She was even looking forward to Yi Qinghan's pleasure. Come, I am yours anyway. At least you are not bad and respect my Fox Immortal clan. Little Fox Immortal's eyes were blurred and filled with emotions. Yi Qinghan rushed up without hesitation. Chapter 25-24. That night, the two of them went to the top of the clouds and almost fainted. Their cultivation was also slowly advancing. During this time, Yi Qinghan and Little Fox Immortal's souls were fused. They carefully observed the difference between the Immortal Fox clan's bloodline and the Yen clan's bloodline. They discovered that the Yen clan's bloodline had a special substance that could be completely compatible with heaven and earth. However, Little Fox Immortal's bloodline didn't have this substance. It was likely that other clans didn't have this substance either. The next day, Yi Qinghan let go of Little Fox Immortal and secretly pondered, could it be that this substance is what makes the Yen clan's humans so special? Little Fox Immortal's face was flushed with success. This time, she had conquered Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan closed his eyes and secretly pondered on how to use this special substance in his bloodline. However, when he first discovered this difference, he couldn't be sure and didn't have any experience. He had failed several times when he tried to use this special substance. After a long time, Yi Qinghan seemed to have comprehended something. A divine light flashed and he opened his eyes. He couldn't help but smile when he saw that Little Fox Immortal was actually taking the initiative. Little Fox Immortal smiled shyly and then let go of Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan was just about to sit up when a few knocks came from outside the door. Knock, knock, knock. The sound was very gentle, neither fast nor slow. It shouldn't be a servant or guard. Then, there was only one person. Yi Qinghan casually put Little Fox Immortal away. Before he could get up and put on his clothes, Shenyuan Qingyun actually pushed open the door and barged in. Yi Qinghan was lying on the bed magnanimously. The two of them stared at each other. Why did you barge in? You're still looking. Yi Qinghan pretended to roll up the blanket and cover himself before reprimanding Shenyuan Qingyun. Shenyuan Qingyun was stunned for a while. She opened her mouth several times to speak, but she didn't know how to respond to Yi Qinghan's reprimand. Are you really incurable? Shenyuan Qingyun angrily reprimanded. Yi Qinghan curled his lips and retorted, Don't tell me I ran into your room and saw your entire body. You can't be incurable, right? But, you shameless bastard, how can anyone be so magnanimous? How old are you? Don't you feel ashamed? Shenyuan Qingyun rebuked. Yi Qinghan lay down lazily and kicked his long legs. He said weakly, It's over. You've seen everything. Either you take responsibility or compensate me. What kind of compensation do you want? Xianyuan Qingyun pouted and retorted. Yi Qinghan immediately perked up and said seriously, "Let me study your bloodline." Xianyuan Qingyun rolled her eyes and reprimanded, "You idiot! What are you researching bloodlines for? Hurry up and get up. I'll introduce you to a good sister." After she finished speaking, Xianyuan Qingyun turned around and left the room, closing the door behind her. Introduce sisters? Yi Qinghan's eyes widened. He didn't expect that Xianyuan Qingyun actually had a close friend. Ka. Yi Qinghan shook his bones and changed his clothes. He didn't wear the shroud anymore and only suppressed the power of the Yen clan's bloodline to a static state. Other than a supreme immortal emperor, perhaps even a big shot wouldn't be able to discover his special bloodline. Outside the door, besides Xianyuan Qingyun, there was actually a petite young girl. She looked even younger than Xianyuan Qingyun, but her figure was even more voluptuous. She had a small cherry-like mouth, and her eyes were different from normal people. They were alternating between red and blue. Her facial features were exquisite like a fairy's, and her skin was a bit fiery red. Once one got close to her, one's bloodline would be involuntarily suppressed. "Sister Tang, I didn't expect you to personally come this time. Could it be that you've fallen for the mundane world and want to come out to find a man?" Xianyuan Qingyun hugged the girl and took a deep breath. She teased, "Sister is still as fragrant as before. This body fragrance is prepared to follow you for a lifetime. You're asking for a beating. You're actually still so impudent. Be careful or I'll beat your brother too." The girl surnamed Tang raised the corner of her mouth and said with dissatisfaction. Xianyuan Qingyun instantly said, "Hurry up and beat him up. He's really infuriated me these past few days. If I can defeat him, I'll definitely cripple him." The girl surnamed Tang was instantly speechless. There had to be an excuse to beat up a prince. There weren't many people who dared to beat up Xianyuan Jitsong. At the very least, there were absolutely no more than 5 people in the entire heaven rankings. This girl actually looked down on him like this, yet Xianyuan Qingyun actually didn't refute her and instead felt that it was only right. The origins of this girl surnamed Tang weren't simple. Her bloodline was absolutely not inferior to Xianyuan Qingyun's ancient immortal bloodline. Her Tang clan was the only ancient god bloodline that had been passed down. Moreover, this girl surnamed Tang was the one with the densest ancient god bloodline in the Tang clan. Tang Jiao's cultivation had even attained the perfection stage of the mysterious immortal realm, and she was 2 stages higher than Yi Qinghan. So, her combat strength was definitely much more exaggerated than Yi Qinghan's. Right at this moment, Yi Qinghan pushed open the door and walked out. As soon as he approached Tang Jiao, not only was his Yen clan bloodline not restrained, it was instead stimulated. The Yen clan's vital energy and blood instantly boiled, and it terrified Yi Qinghan to the point that his expression changed abruptly. He immediately retreated back into the room and adjusted himself a few times in succession. In the end, he could only wear the shroud. That girl has the bloodline of a powerful primeval clan. Just now, there was a change in my bloodline. Yi Qinghan's face was ghastly pale, and that was the vigilance that came from his bones. After that, he closed the door and hid back into the room. At this moment, Tang Jiao's expression changed as well. She stared at Yi Qinghan's door and asked in a low voice, "Who was that person who just came out?" He was actually able to awaken my bloodline and arouse vigilance and hostility. Xianyuan Qingyun never expected that their reactions would be so exaggerated upon meeting. Yi Qinghan, the one who participated in the live broadcast of the hunt a few days ago. Is it because the baleful aura on his body is too strong that it stimulated your bloodline? He's someone who entered the Crying Ghost Ridge and came out alive. He even has a shroud on him, so his corpse aura is very strong. Xianyuan Qingyun didn't think too much about it and immediately explained for Yi Qinghan. However, Tang Jiao didn't quite believe it. The bloodline of a primeval god was very special, and there weren't many people who could arouse her hostility. She was almost certain that Yi Qinghan definitely had the bloodline of a powerful primeval clan. Huff! Inside the room, Yi Qinghan exhaled a few turbid breaths and adjusted his state of mind. After calming down, he pushed open the door and walked out. He said with a smile, "I'm really sorry about just now. I lost my composure a little." Tang Jiayao stared at Yi Qinghan, and Yi Qinghan also stared at her. Because of the suppression of the shroud, the conflict between their bloodlines had disappeared. Fortunately, there was the shroud. Otherwise, Xianyuan Jitsang and the other big shots would have definitely discovered that there was a problem with Yi Qinghan's bloodline. They weren't like the supreme immortal emperors. They already looked down on the bloodline of the Yen clan. Immortal emperors didn't care about the hatred between the Yen clan and other clans, but people like Xianyuan Jitsang cared. You have a special bloodline, the bloodline of a powerful primeval clan. Are you an ancient immortal clan? Spirit clan? Or true dragon bloodline? Tang Jiayao stared at Yi Qinghan and asked doubtfully. Yi Qinghan shook his head and said, "This fairy is thinking too much. I don't have a special bloodline. Just now, the power of fairy's powerful bloodline aroused a sense of danger and caused me to feel a trace of hostility towards you. That's why it aroused the hostility of your bloodline." Yi Qinghan didn't dare to admit that he had the bloodline of the Yen clan. Otherwise, the princess' estate would be razed to the ground today. Xianyuan Qingyun saw that something was wrong between the two, so she quickly stood in the middle and introduced, "Big Sister Tang, this is Yi Qinghan, the main character of this time's Marquis conferment, the heaven-suppressing Marquis. He was personally conferred this title by the immortal emperor of my celestial empire. There's definitely no problem with his identity. Otherwise, the immortal emperor would have definitely discovered it." Chapter 25-25. Perhaps I was thinking too much. Heaven-suppressing Marquis, please don't blame me. Although Tang Jiayao was at the peak of the mystic immortal realm, she still had to give some face at this moment. Yi Qinghan naturally wouldn't hold on to his attitude and quickly replied, "Fairy is too polite. I didn't control myself well just now and scared you. I hope you won't blame me." At this moment, Yi Qinghan already understood that those with ancient bloodlines could trigger the hatred between their bloodlines. This was an inheritance that came from the bones and could never be changed. He couldn't help but rejoice that Xianyuan Qingyun's bloodline wasn't high. Otherwise, her bloodline would have been exposed just now. Looks like I won't be able to throw away this shroud in the future. Yi Qinghan secretly pondered. Wearing this shroud had its pros and cons. After all, if he fought with force, this shroud would definitely be broken. At that time, his bloodline would naturally be exposed. It wasn't very safe. I wonder if Ouyang Guan can set up immortal runes on my body to allow me to deceive everyone. Yi Qinghan pondered for a moment. Then, he looked up at the two beautiful fairies and found that they were also staring at him. Yi Qinghan pretended to be calm and touched his face. He asked, "What's wrong? Is my face very seductive?" Xianyuan Qingyun sneered and said, "My big sister Tang heard that someone was conferred a marquis, so she specially came from the Tang clan to take a look. She's one of us. Don't worry, she won't spread the news of you being conferred a marquis for the time being." Tang Jiayao shrugged. She was a sentimental person. However, she and Yi Qinghan were destined to be enemies. Even if they weren't enemies, they couldn't become friends. Yi Qinghan was well aware of their relationship in the future, so he nodded indifferently as a greeting. I'm the host, so I have to entertain Big Sister Tang this time. Let's go out and eat. I haven't taken you out for a walk since you came to the capital," Xianyuan Qingyun said excitedly. Yi Qinghan did not want to have too much to do with Tang Jiayao. He shook his head and said, "You can go out. I will cultivate at home for a few days. According to the days, the clothes from the Imperial Clothing Workshop will arrive soon. I will stay here and wish you two fairies a good time. Let's go, let's go. Other people don't even have the ability to accompany us two great beauties to go shopping, yet you've taken the initiative to refuse. Look at how spoiled you've become." Xianyuan Qingyun was like a spoiled little girl as she hugged Yi Qinghan's arm and was about to drag him out. Tang Jiayao crossed her arms and looked at everything indifferently. She guessed that Xianyuan Qingyun was tempted, so she said, "Lord heaven-suppressing Marquis, are you looking down on me? Is it so hard to treat you to a meal?" Yi Qinghan bitterly smiled and could only nod in agreement. Tap tap tap. At this moment, the guard from before jogged all the way to the three of them and said respectfully, "Your Highness, Sect Master Yi, 3 elders from the clothing workshop have come. They say they have something to discuss with you two sirs." Xianyuan Qingyun was immediately excited. These were clothes personally designed by the clothing workshop master. Whoosh! Xianyuan Qingyun directly left Yi Qinghan behind and madly ran out of the princess residence. The 3 elders were holding 3 brocade boxes of different sizes, which should contain 3 sets of clothes. "Your Highness, the clothes are ready. Please accept them." The 3 elders bowed and handed over the brocade boxes. At this moment, Yi Qinghan and Tang Jiayao walked over. They each took a brocade box and gave a lot of celestial coins as a reward before returning to the main hall. Tang Jiayao looked at Xianyuan Qingyun enviously and revealed her pure nature. She rubbed her hands and said, "These are clothes personally designed by the clothing workshop master. I don't even know if I can wear them in this lifetime. Tiyun, try them on for me to see." Xianyuan Qingyun had long forgotten to bring Tang Jiayao and Yi Qinghan out for a stroll. After finding her clothes, she directly rushed to the bedchamber of the side hall. Yi Qinghan silently sat to the side and tapped the table with his fingertips. He looked at the brocade box that belonged to him, but he didn't take it out to try it on. After all, he didn't know if he could wear a shroud under his clothes. After about half an hour, a scream came from the bedchamber of the side hall. Xianyuan Qingyun shouted excitedly as if she had gone crazy. "Huff!" Tang Jiayao snorted proudly and was very envious and jealous. "Heaven-suppressing Marquis, who's the other one?" Tang Jiayao looked at the slightly smaller brocade box and asked with shining eyes. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and summoned Supreme Sovereign Yi. He threw the smaller brocade box to him and said indifferently, "The clothes that the clothing workshop master gave you. Change into them and try them on." Tang Jiayao was shocked. She didn't expect the clothing workshop master to personally design clothes for a little spiritual pet. Even princes didn't have this privilege. Supreme Sovereign Yi took the brocade box smugly and looked at Tang Jiayao, who had the bloodline of the ancient gods. He teased recklessly, "Yo boss, when did you get such a hot girl? When are you going to introduce one to me too?" Yi Qinghan was speechless and rebuked angrily, "What nonsense are you talking about? Hurry up and change into your clothes." Tang Jiayao was considered polite at first, but her face turned even redder after hearing Supreme Sovereign Yi's words. Supreme Sovereign Yi looked at Tang Jiayao recklessly and asked curiously, "Why are you so red? You're like a boiled crab. Is this a bloodline problem?" "What a coincidence, I also have the ancient bloodline. Let's talk more when we have time." Crack crack crack. Boom. Tang Jiayao's temper wasn't very good. She was angered by Supreme Sovereign Yi's words. Her bloodline was awakened, and the aura of the ancient gods filled the princess residence. Xianyuan Qingyun didn't care about dressing up. She wore a phoenix coronet and a robe. There was no golden light, but she was even more charming. As soon as she appeared, she instantly crushed Tang Jiayao. This set of phoenix coronet and robe dug out all her charm. The phoenix coronet and robe were different from other clothing styles. It was an ancient costume, but it was mixed with the current popular style. Whoever wore it would be the main character. Xianyuan Qingyun stunned Tang Jiayao, causing her anger to dissipate instantly. At this moment, even Yi Qinghan was stunned. His eyes were wide open. He never thought that a piece of clothing could change a person's temperament. Clothes make the man. This saying is indeed true. "Princess, you can be called the #1 beauty in the world." Supreme Sovereign Yi said with a flattering smile, "I'll go try on my clothes. Maybe it can stimulate my potential as the #1 man in the world." After saying that, Supreme Sovereign Yi hugged his brocade box and fled, afraid that Tang Jiayao would take revenge on him. Yi Qinghan also took his brocade box and retreated. In the room, Yi Qinghan opened the brocade box and looked at the heaven-suppressing Marquis robe. Its domineering aura was monstrous. The corner of the battle robe was surrounded by 9 dragons, as if it was lifting the wearer. The stars on the long sleeves flickered like a galaxy in the universe, suppressing the heavens with a wave of his hand. The wide heaven-suppressing marquee robe was completely designed according to Yi Qinghan's figure. It was very strict, and there was no problem with wearing a shroud inside. It was gorgeous but not ostentatious. It vividly displayed Yi Qinghan's natural domineering aura and heaven-suppressing posture. Yi Qinghan took off his coat and put on the heaven-suppressing marquee robe. The golden jade belt wrapped around his waist, and it was neither too big nor too small. It fit him perfectly. With a slight move, the robe rolled up in the air, and the space-time laws fluctuated. Its defensive power was actually at the golden immortal level. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath. He felt that the immortal spiritual energy of heaven and earth was gathering and rushing to his limbs and bones. This heaven-suppressing marquee robe was simply a gift from the heavens. Yi Qinghan stepped out of the room and came to the main hall of the princess residence. His heaven-suppressing posture made the hearts of the two peerless beauties stop. They stared at Yi Qinghan in unison without moving their eyes. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.